Hey, how are you doing? It is Sunday, February 12th. We are live on TikTok, and if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, timestamps will be below in the description for whichever readings are for you. And of course, we'll have a full channel mode at the end, more than likely, so you can go ahead and click that. I'll see you there. And otherwise, I have to get back to, hey everybody, showing up. Hey Destiny, good to see ya. Hope you are doing great, crushing it out there in the big wide world. You are so early. I don't think I'm used to seeing you first. Good afternoon, baby doll. Good morning, Jessica. I'm doing well. I had a weird night last night, but just more energetically, but feeling all right now. So I'm showing up. How are you guys doing today? You're welcome, Mylin. Hey, Amy Cutler, how are you doing? Good to see ya. How is everybody doing today? This morning, this afternoon, wherever it is, wherever you are. Whew. Okay. For whatever reason, they are urging me to just jump right into the collective instead of waiting, and I will probably just do that. So anxious. Oh no! I'm sorry to hear that. I'm feeling drained this morning. We took a day trip yesterday. I made it for a late night. I hear ya. Well, hang in there. Rest up today if you can. Taking your Reiki 1 class. Can't wait. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it, Amy. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be cool. I don't think I've chatted with you on video chat or anything before, so it'll be cool to meet you there too in that way. It was weird night energetically here too. Okay, maybe it's not just me. Maybe it's a world thing. Okay, they want me to put the sign up and begin, so we shall do that. So, okay. So this is a collective reading. It is meant to be for everyone here, of course. And I'm probably going to unmirror it here just to, because there we go. I just prefer it. Okay. So good morning, Marina. Good to see you here too. Crazy dreams. Interesting. So let's just see what would be for the highest good to come through for the collective. It's just for everyone who's here, who's watching it when they're watching it, of course. And of course, if you're here live, you're like, well, yeah, I'm here live. But I also post these on YouTube. So for anyone new, most of you already knew that. So I do have some channel messages that came through ahead of time. And of course, my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for the highest good as we go through this. So one thing that came through first and foremost, though I think there might be a different message coming through before we get to that here. So where would be the best place for us to start here? So it's really interesting because the first thing they're showing me are the visual I was getting were like these ghosts of the past that like kind of show up and give their like, and it's not a bad thing necessarily. They're finally like kiss farewell and they like depart forever or for a long time is something I'm getting. These are definitely not ghosts you would want to stay, so I don't think this is a bad thing, but I don't know if you want to say it's like things coming up for release, or how would be the best way for me to phrase this. That could even just be some of the weird things energetically we were talking about before we delved into this reading as well. But there's a lot that's leaving for good that it's like its time is up. But I feel like this is more like bad things. I know like people don't like the word good and bad, and I understand it. I'm just trying to convey the message. So for some of you, if there were certain things that like came up, there might be things that are leaving for good. So the next message that came through, and the first one that came through ahead of time, was an upshift. So I used to get this message a lot, especially like towards the end of last year, end of like 2022. But they just said it's another upshift time, so everyone's upshifting. No one will be spared, is what they said. And that's not a, I know that sounds ominous, but it's pretty much a good thing here. There's just, again, there's a lot of release is something I'm getting for everybody here. There's just a lot of upshifting that we don't realize is upshifting, or certain people or certain ones of you listening don't realize are upshifting. It can be really disconcerting when you're up leveling like 10 levels up, let's say, and you don't realize it. Because then like there's a lot, again, like there's a lot releasing, there's a lot that can come up to say goodbye sometimes as that's happening. So you think like bad things are happening, but it's really not, is something I'm getting. So I would try not to get too disconcerted with that. I try to just say farewell to things that are leaving and trust that things are working out, is something I'm getting to say as well. The next message that came through, so our good friend Grasshopper showed up. And Grasshopper was showing up at the ends of like all these readings, like the past couple weeks. Pretty much like every reading I did, he'd be like showing up at the end, like, hello, with like a message. This message is going to talk about what I just said, kind of actually, but they said a lot is leaving, and that's okay. It's time for that. So what's leaving is making space for what belongs to you, with you, etc. So whether it's old projects, people, ideas, beliefs, even like cars, if someone's car broke down or something like that, anything like that, things are leaving so that you can have the best. And I love that quote. It really jumped out to me. Things are leaving so you can have the best. So again, I feel like I've been saying this like every week or something along these lines, and maybe it's just really helpful for people to hear. But when things leave, it's just making space for what belongs. It's just making space for the upshifted version of things, or the upshift. You get it. You know what I'm saying. So it's just making room for what's for the highest good. The next message, they showed me a car again, and it was about travel. They just said there's a lot of, I made this whole thing about it last week, I think, where I wasn't making fun of it, but I was kind of calling out how a lot of readers will just add the word energy behind like any random sentence. And they kind of gave me that sentence, and maybe they're poking fun at me for saying that, but they said a lot of travel energy. There might be a lot of travel in the future for a lot of you, is pretty much what they said. And whether it's leaving things behind or just traveling and going on vacation, could be a good time for that. If you don't have any plans, don't worry about it. You'll be traveling at the right time, but that was just something that came through for whatever reason. I want to see if there's anything deeper about that would be helpful for you guys to know, or because it's kind of just a random thing. Not random. Nothing's really random, but they're just like, it just came through for a reason. Don't worry about it. Let's move on to the next one. So, the next thing that came through, they just said the world is opening up for the highest good energetically. So a lot of new beginnings, opportunities, etc. So if you've been calling in something new, it is coming. For whatever reason, I know I'm filming this like around February. I mean, this is February 12th now, but March is a month that they highlighted for everyone here, especially here live, for like new beginnings or things moving forward or doors opening. Especially if you've been waiting for a door to open and it hasn't been. I'm getting like March, April, that time frame is going to be really good. For anyone watching, you know, in the timeless readings way in the future or anything like that, next month is what I'd say, or the next couple of months, next 3 or 4 at the latest probably, but next month is being highlighted for you guys. And then again, there's a message that possibilities are opening wide for everybody here. And that's kind of just happening. I feel like I got that message in like January, for January and kind of like onward, is like there's just a lot more possibility opening up for people on the earth, and like the possibilities are opening wide and just kind of going higher. I feel like it's already always unlimited and infinite possibilities, but it's becoming more easily accessible. And maybe before it did like a year of work to like open up a possibility for yourself, but now it's going to take like a month or something like that, or it just takes less effort in certain areas or in certain ways for certain possibilities to open up or show up, or for the highest good doors to open. I'm not saying it quite right, so give me 1 second to see what they'd like me to say here. They're just saying there are more possibilities coming with these, and it's going to keep getting easier in that realm. Doesn't mean there won't be challenges for certain instances or certain areas, but there are more possibilities, is what I'm hearing. So there is at least one more message for the collective. I didn't have any more channeled down ahead of time, and we might end up pulling a card as well. So let's see what else would be for that's going to come through for you guys here. They're giving me the word grace here. So this might just be for some of you, but I'm getting a weird message like maybe some of you felt like you've fallen from grace somehow or in some way, but you actually haven't. It's like actually more of an illusion in some way, and you guys will be right back on the horse and on the straight and narrow, so don't worry about it, is what I'm getting. And the worst thing you can do sometimes is beat up on yourself when you've already like fallen or made a mistake, because it just doesn't always help, is something I'm getting. And sometimes the best thing you can do is, you know, forgive yourself, take a second or not, get back on the horse, do your best to be better, I suppose you could say. So for those of you who felt like you've fallen from grace in some way, I don't feel like you actually have. And if you made a mistake, like, I feel like you'll be okay. Beyond that, with the word grace here, this is going to sound a little bit not dumb, but obvious the way it comes through. But the sentence I'm hearing is like, there's going to be a lot more grace for the people who are ready for it or like willing to receive it into their lives. And sometimes what shows up is what we're willing to receive for ourselves. So I would try to heal any unworthiness or anywhere you're unwilling to receive good things or any stories that might keep you from that, or I'm not saying that perfectly, that part. But I would do your best to open to receive. I know that's just kind of like an annoying sentence sometimes. I really understand how sometimes people will say that and they'll just turn off the video or or the audio or whatever. But I would try it. Honestly, I'd set the intention to try and open to receive, maybe put on some type of video on YouTube that's like Reiki to open you to receive, or some type of energy healing to help you to receive, or something like that. I think I talked about it. Like, I think if you meditate or put yourself in a certain position and just open your hands and like with the intention to receive the blessings that are for you, or for the universe to open you to receive, just see what shows up. Whenever I do that, like for blessings, I'm like, okay, universe, bring me the blessings that belong to me. I'll always feel like energy flowing into my hands, like from the universe, from source. And usually something shows up. But for some reason, like that's just a message they'd like to bring through, is almost like healing your receiving. And that might heal a lot for a lot of you, is something I'm getting as well. So I already talked about this last week, but they're giving me another message about darkness leaving. And maybe it can't be stated enough, because I think sometimes we like forget maybe when we're in the thick of it, but there is a lot of, you could say, darkness being brought up to be released. And they're kind of revisiting the image of like the ghosts of the past kissing their final farewell. And it's not like a kiss of death or anything brutal. It's literally just saying goodbye. So there is a lot of darkness leaving for good. It's just maybe it seems harrowing while it's coming up, or you think there's something wrong with you, or you did something wrong, but that's not the case, is something I'm getting. It's literally just a release. So don't beat up on yourself if you feel like there are a lot of like dark thoughts or darker places or emotions like showing up. It's just being like revisited so it can leave, if that makes sense. And I always, for myself, now that I'm on this topic, I always kind of wonder when these things come up, like, is there a better way? Because a lot of the times you'll hear people talk about like, oh, when you're releasing things, like it comes up and then like you face it and then it leaves. But to me, I'm also, while I'm delivering this message, like asking, like, is there a better way where this doesn't have to come up and be so difficult? And I get yes. So give me a second to see if they'll bring more information to help us out with that, instead of us struggling or whatever, if that's for the highest good. Honestly, literally what I'm hearing is like to ask for ease with the release process, and literally ask the universe like, hey, is there a better way, and what will it take for it to show up? Please bring it in, and just try it and see what like shows up. Maybe meditate on it if you like to meditate on it. But I feel like there are easier ways that will come in, and maybe we just have to ask for them. So anything else while we're on the collective reading here? So our good friend Giraffe is showing up, as Giraffe so often does in readings. And usually when Giraffe shows up, it's about the path that we're on, or someone's path. And as I'm sitting with this giraffe, a path of light shows up, and he's pointing down it. But what is he trying to show us here? So he's kind of showing that there are these like barriers on the path, but these barriers will kind of like open up for us, and then like they might close again. But so what he's saying is like, when opportunities present themselves to like take action, like when the quote unquote metaphorical barrier opens and you have the chance to move forward or to take an opportunity, like do it, like take action and like jump on it, like right away, is something I'm getting. And like that will help you move forward. Because like a lot of us have a tendency to wait and maybe feel things out a little bit, or sit there and stare at it for a second before we like do anything. And Giraffe is saying like, no, just take the opportunity. Like when like the barrier opens and you have the chance to move forward, like move forward. You don't want to sit around. I mean, it's okay if you are resting or sitting around right now. That's a different story. But when the opportunity presents itself, when the barrier opens up, like move is what I'd say, or jump on that opportunity. And there is a bit more on this message as well. So give me a second to sit with the visual that's playing out here and the messages I'm getting, and I'll open my mouth when I know I'm giving you the right message. So I'm getting I don't know if I like this message, but I'll say it just in case it's helpful. Like, a lot of you guys might even feel like weak, or at least just some of you, but you're actually not weak. It's like the only reason you might feel weak is like if you're not taking action when you're supposed to, and you're just kind of like, you know, sitting around and like waiting, and then an opportunity presents itself and you kind of like just don't do anything. And it's almost like you feel weaker, maybe. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but because you're not taking action. And if I were to ask them to clarify this a little bit more, just to help you guys out here. I suppose we're still on this taking action message, but sitting around might be kind of like what is making it feel like you can't do things. But if you take action, it's like, you could say it builds strength, but it could show you like, oh, you're capable, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's what you need to hear regarding like taking opportunities and things like that. They kept showing me this meme, and I'm hesitant to say it because it's so slightly ridiculous. But you know that meme that the kids nowadays are using where they'll call people like Chads, or they'll call people like Kyles, and it's kind of these stereotypes, and some of it's not really like kind either, but for Chads it's like people who are like really cool, and you know, I know it sounds ridiculous, bear with me, but like get girls or things like that. And then like the judgment for people that they call Kyles are like people who chug Monster and like punch holes in walls and things like this. Like this weird, it's kind of like when people call people Karens. And I don't like the judgment aspect of it. I'm realizing right now as I sit here and I'm giving this message, but what's up with the Chads here? Give me 1 second here. Some of you are just probably like laughing your butts off regarding this part. So give me 1 second here. What's up with the Chads here? I'm not trying to call anyone a Kyle or a Karen here. They're just saying like you guys will feel more like Chads if you're taking action on things, on the opportunities that present themselves. So we're still on that note. I just feel like once you take certain opportunities, you're going to feel really good. So again, you might not have the opportunities right now. You might be sitting here like, wait, where is it? But I feel like this is coming up if it's not here right now. So just keep your eyes peeled. Again, there's a lot that's opening up for you guys and even the world in the next couple months here, if you're willing to jump on the opportunities that show up. I feel like that's it for the collective. I hope that made sense and resonated and was helpful. I feel like I was stumbling over like Chads and Kyles there for a second, but hopefully still got the messages across at least. I want to check if there's anything else we need to hear before we kind of close that though. Or if I should pull cards. No. Excuse any like noises from the neighbors if you pick up on that. I apologize. They're kind of saying nope and telling me to close the reading, so I will not waste any more time. I hope that made sense and was helpful. That was one of like the weirder collective readings I think I've done in a while, but I call them Chads and Kevins. There you go. Helpful. Thanks. You're welcome. We're going to move to the fire signs next. I'm going to drink some water. I have borrowing a water bottle today. So you guys get a difference gulping ASMR with the little gurgle that the straw makes. I think you just have to laugh at it. Okay, so for the fire signs, Sun, Moon, and Rising, give me 1 second here. Okay, so this is, of course, for you when you see it. It's for Sun, Moon, or Rising. So let's start. The first message that came through for you. So one thing they were showing me for the collective reading, but I'll just get into it now because they're showing it to me again. They're showing me this like, it almost looks like a tarantula with like this electric web is something I'm getting. So let me just see what that's about here. Give it 2 seconds. So in some ways it's about things being electrified, but I don't have the full message yet, so give me 2 seconds to sit with it. So it's kind of a weird message about interconnectedness, and like the electricity is also in some ways symbolizing like upgrading as well. So for some reason they're talking about, and one of the messages in the collective reading was about upshifting, and everyone's upshifting and no one's going to be spared from that. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. But they're kind of showing this weird message like, when you're upgrading, everything else is upgrading. When everything else is upgrading, you're upgrading. A lot of the upgrades that are happening for people are interconnected with the collective and like what the world needs right now. So I know we just talked about taking action and jumping on like opportunities in the collective reading, but we haven't yet for the fire signs. So one of the messages coming through is like, if you are called to rest, like I actually like would, depending on where you're at and like what you're called to do in the moment. And maybe some of the opportunities showing up are the opportunities to like rest if we've been overworked or things like that. Opportunities can show up in all sorts of forms. But you kind of really need to take care of yourself right now is what I'm getting, especially those of you who are feeling like electrified by the upgrades or by collective energies, because they're showing like a cartoon character who got like fried by electricity. So I don't think you need to worry. I don't think it's like literally you're going to be punished or in danger or anything like that. It's more just like if you're upgrading a lot, you might need to rest, and everything's kind of upgrading and interconnected like that. So if you're feeling fried, just take some time for you. The other message, or the first message that came through ahead of time for the fire signs, was about opening. And you are being opened to a new life, and new ideas are percolating. You have a lot of new beginnings on the way, and a lot transpiring that's going to lift you to new beginnings. And the universe is working everything out in your favor. So there's a lot. It was almost like a little mini paragraph that came through for that first message. So the first word they gave me was opening. I feel like you're opening, and it's for the highest good, only what's for the highest good, but you're opening to a lot's being opened for you. We kind of talked about that in the collective as well. Some of you might even, or a lot of you might feel like you're being left behind in some way, but you're actually not. I feel like everyone gets their opportunities at the right time. And if you feel like people have been leaving you behind, or you felt like you've been left in the dust at all in life, for those of you who do feel that way, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to catch up or move forward in the right ways for you, where you're not even worried about what anyone else is doing. You're just moving forward is something I'm getting. So, and we've kind of been getting these messages, I feel like, a lot recently about like new beginnings, new things coming, especially like March and April and things like that, and maybe even over the summertime. So that just might be the energy we're in as well. The next message is that, again, the theme for you is that things for the highest good are opening up for you, and you will love it. So that's fantastic. They are showing me doors opening. We already talked about this, but anything further I need to talk about before we move to the next messages here? I feel like an additional message is things are going to open that you don't think are going to. And I hesitate to use this example because I do. But they're showing me like a lottery, and it's kind of like no one expects to win the lottery, but somebody does, or maybe some people do just go to the gas station and get their lottery tickets and expect to win, but I don't know. As far as what that means for you, more as far as a message for you, and maybe for one of you, that is going to be it. That'd be awesome for you. But I'm not going to promise that, of course. They're just kind of saying like sometimes the unexpected things are the things that happen. So keep that in mind. Like there might be things opening up for you that have been closed. They're giving me like a weird example and phrase like it's been closed for a century. And they were showing me like an old guy saying that. So I don't know. But there might be things that have been closed for a long time or like 20 years that are like opening up for you, or just things you never imagined would open up for you that will open up for you, which is fantastic. But it's like things that are destined to as well. It's not just random is something I'm getting. The next message that came through, so switching gears a little bit, they just said there is intense healing to the sacral chakra for many of you. For others of you, it is the solar plexus, and they are showing me the throat chakra as well. I'm trying not to do this thing where I list off all the chakras, because now all of a sudden like they're all a bunch of are showing up. The first two that I was getting were sacral and solar plexus. I realize like different of you are in different places. Sometimes I hesitate to like really bring through chakras for like collective readings, because I don't know. There have been times I've watched collective readings and they'll start going on and on about like this chakra, and I'll check in. I'm like, I'm fine. Like I get really annoyed when that happens. So maybe check in for yourself and discern for yourself. But they were also showing me the throat and third eye chakras for others of you that maybe the sacral and solar don't resonate for. For those of you, again, who feel laid out, you need to take time to rest. I would do that. but I really feel like things are working out in your favor. For those of you who feel like you're getting healing to the solar plexus, it is like around taking action, and you'll just take action at the right time is something I'm getting. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I would rest if you need to. It's just a common message for the fire signs right now, I guess. The next message, they showed me a T-Rex, and they said to just watch out for the villains that you cast and to make sure that they are actually villains. Not everyone is a villain. And for some reason, like, it seemed a little bit more of like, I don't know if I like tough love is the way to say this, but for some reason they gave like, I heard this message like get your facts straight was like a line I heard when I was getting this message. I don't think that's for all of you. I think that's for some of you, but sometimes it's just tempting to cast people as villains that aren't actually villains. Sometimes we need to look at ourselves and our own personal healing and be like, okay, if I did contribute to this going this way, where did I contribute to this situation being the way it is? Just kind of take an honest eye towards it. For me personally, what's the best thing to say here? What would help you the most here? I'm kind of hearing like a weird sentence, like if there was no villain, what would be the truth of the situation? Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe that's a good question to ask yourself. For me, sometimes my perspective is like, is there really even a villain in the first place? Because, you know, even for people you might tend to cast as a villain per se, there's usually a reason they are the way they are, whether it's something, you know, even if it's someone who's doing bad things in the world, like do they have like something wrong with their brain chemistry or the way they developed? Is it a lot of trauma? Is there something else that went on? And it's not really an excuse for the actions per se either, because there's plenty of people who are really traumatized who are really freaking awesome people and do good and bring light to the world and stuff like that. So I don't know if I really want to make excuses for that, but it's also sometimes tempting to put all our problems on someone or something that's not really the crux of it. And it can kind of maybe even inhibit, I'm not saying it's wrong for that. Maybe you're just in the phase you need to be, you're in the learning phase you need to be, but it might inhibit healing a little bit, because instead of looking at the truth and releasing and forgiving or doing what you need to do, you're kind of like, no, they're wrong and they messed this up and they messed me up and why me? And it just doesn't really help necessarily. I don't think that was the perfect way to say it, but I'd just be careful of who you're casting as a villain, and it might not be helping you or might not be the truth of the situation. Even if there is some truth to it, the question is also like, what would truly serve you as far as like a perspective you could take regarding the situation? Sorry, I need to sit with this for 1 second to make sure I'm really saying this right here. Yeah, I mean, I would just ask what would really serve you regarding like anyone you've cast as a villain, and like, is it really warranted? And I don't know if seeing yourself as a villain would really be helpful either. I feel like villain is like a judgment. It's like a label. It's not always really truth. It's more just something that's helped us tell stories, you know? So next message here, hope that was helpful. They showed me the color yellow. For whatever reason, the word they gave me with this was bland, and maybe it's I don't know. They just said if things are bland, they are going to get spiced up pretty soon. So if you felt things are boring or every day is the same or anything like that, I feel like there's a bit more spice coming into your life, which is good. They're showing me like the intro to this show called the Powerpuff Girls. That was a thing when in the 90s, when I was a kid. And it's like it starts with like sugar, spice, and everything nice is like the words they start with in that introduction. So I guess you're getting more spice and sugar and things, which is nice. And things will just be a bit more exciting or at least less boring, but in a good way. The next message, they just gave me the phrase, I feel like I've said this to you recently, like last week, major life changes ahead, things like moving or relationship changes. There's also showing me they're showing me things breaking apart. They're also showing like land, like they're showing me like a piece of land, like either like splitting in parts or like being like shattered. And like it turns into a bunch of islands, but it like reforms into something new and different and like stronger. So if things are splitting apart for you, or you feel like your life is falling apart even, it's not. It's something they're saying. Like it might really seem like it, and I empathize, but it's not. It's reorganizing is more the way they're talking about it. And if you think of someone who's like really attached to the way things have always been, like maybe they're attached to like a childhood home and they're like, no, I really love this home, but it's like old, it's rickety, it's dilapidated, there's mold is in this example, and like the universe is trying to like get them into this like mansion with like a pool and like everything they dream of, and you're like, no, my childhood home. And like we understand that you're attached to this home and like the memories, but the memories are gone. The people who made it special, maybe they left, like maybe the kids went to college, or maybe everyone else moved out and it's just you alone in this home. Like maybe it's time for like new dreams and for things to be reorganized so you can have this mansion over here. So I'd be a little bit, it's that really, not to sound trite, but it's that quote, like maybe if things are falling apart, they're really falling together. That quote annoys me too, but but it's what I'm hearing, and I am going to say what I'm hearing. So let's see what else would be for that's good to get to here. I'm getting there in major life changes either now or afoot or ahead, and it's really a good thing if you'll let things reorganize for you. And again, nothing's really splitting apart, everything's coming together. Next message, they said, like, if things are not going your way, don't beat up on yourself. They're showing someone who is like, they were going on a walk and they thought it was just going to be like a cakewalk or a walk through a meadow, but all of a sudden they're like in this field, like fighting monsters and like running from tigers and like hiding in a tree from bears and like all this like stuff. I don't like this quote. I don't even think it's true, but they're kind of replaying that quote, like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. One, that's not true, but that just might be how some of you feel, or sometimes that might happen in doses. Sometimes I'm not trying to create that. It's just it just popped in for a second. And let me see what they'd like to say on that. Because I know it's kind of like not a fun message, but if things are not going your way, don't beat up on yourself. Anything else you need to know on that one here? One, I feel like there is an end to that journey. I don't feel like you're stuck in this field fighting monsters and hiding from bears forever. It's like a limited time thing. Two, I feel like, let's say, I was going to say the next page is going to be better, but what would be so much for me to say here? There is a better journey for you. Right now, I would not beat up on yourself if things are going wrong, because one, it might be the lessons you need to move forward that are really teaching you something really grand, of course. Two, it might just be showing you what's not for you is something I'm getting. And sometimes those are the toughest lessons. We're really sold on something and we're convinced it's for us, like specifically like a person is where I can empathize with this, that I'm being shown. And you're like, no, this is my soulmate. It's my soulmate. It's the one. We're going to go to the gym and lift together. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's a joke. But then it's just like they kind of suck. And I'm not trying to judge people. It's just the way it's coming through, I guess, to expedite the message or get it through to you. And it's like we kind of have to like detach and like move on from that. But it's difficult because it's like maybe they have a lot of qualities we dreamed of, but it's like, it's kind of like someone who looks really good on the outside or on paper, but it's like sour on the inside. And so why are we talking about this? I lost track of what we were talking about. Give me 1 second for them to get me back on track here. Sometimes we just have to let go of that. I kind of remember what I'm so sorry. Sometimes when I'm channeling, you just get lost in the flow of the channel and then it's just like gone, like whatever I was talking about. But you get it. I'm going to just I'm going to trust that it all made sense if you were to put what I was saying together with that. But I feel like, if you're willing to move on from that, it was about lessons and learning about what's for you and what's not for you. Sometimes that's the toughest lesson when that happens. But when you learn it, something really good comes in, is something I'm hearing. So if you're going through that, don't beat up on yourself and be gentle on yourself, but trust that something better is ahead, as it always is. So the next message here they'd like me to get to here. Sorry for that pause. What else would be flash good? There was a quick reminder. They showed me selenite. They just said, make sure you're clearing your vibes. So I'd be just make sure you're clearing your energies and your space. And again, another message I'm getting for you is maybe not everything you're going through is yours. Maybe you're picking up on other people or people around you, or spending time with people who are going through a lot. And then you forget to clear your energies and you're like, why am I suffering? But it's like not yours. So just a reminder to maybe check in and like ask yourself, okay, is this mine or someone else's? Is there a way I can clear this? And maybe just check in and ask yourself intuitively what's really going on and do things to keep your energies clear. I don't know if that'll solve everything and all of your problems, but is at least going to help and get you in a good spot, like mentally or in general, to just tackle life and tackle things the correct way is something I'm getting. It couldn't hurt. Next message, they showed me a fox. I don't really feel like I got the full message ahead of time when I sat with this fox that was showing up. So let me see what's up with the fox here. I don't... Fox doesn't usually show up a lot as a spirit animal, if I'm being honest, but he did today. So let's see what he wants to say here. For some reason, maybe I did get the full message. Like, he's showing up, and I know foxes are typically depicted as like thieves. And for some reason, this fox is saying like no stealing. And I don't know if it's about ideas or what it's about. And I'm sure not every single one of you is like trying to thieve or steal. And I'm sure not every single one of you who might even be doing something like that or even probably have ill intentions. But anything else that would clarify that? For some reason, there's like a quick message for at least some of you. And it's like, like there is a lot that's for you. Like, you don't need to steal other people's ideas. You don't need to steal other people's thunder. So maybe just sit with yourself and be like, okay, am I doing that? And you, again, don't beat up on yourself. But for some reason, Fox has a message like no stealing. And I don't know why, but I don't know. Next message here, they just said you are on the right track, fire signs. So don't beat up on yourself at all. Now is a time to rest and for a time and then get back on the horse. So that's just really like for the fire signs. I know the collective reading was about taking action and jumping on opportunities. I feel like right now your opportunity is to rest, and I would do that, and you'll be feeling right as rain soon is something I'm getting, which is good. Thus, the last thing that showed up for your reading ahead of time was a unicorn, and there is a message that magic is on the way, even if you think things are bland, magic, and also magic will heal you. So they're also giving me a phrase, turn to the magical is what they're saying. If you feel lost, turn to the magical. If you feel like things aren't right, turn to the magical. If you're not sure how to heal yourself, turn to the magical. And what does that mean by turn to the magical? It doesn't have to be like witchcraft and spells and things like that, though. If you're into that thing, that's totally cool. It could be like energy healing. It could be manifestation. It could be working with your intuition. Sometimes what I'm getting for you, for whatever reason, is like sometimes we feel called to like turn to the exact blandest thing for our healing. And we're just doing the same yoga pose every day and like nothing's changing. And you're like, what gives? Yoga is supposed to be healing or something like that. Try to shake it up a little bit if you're just doing the same thing over and over again and are not sure it's helping, and like add something else or turn to something. Try to bring more magic into it, whether you're working with crystals or building crystal grids or asking your intuition for more help with it or something. I feel like that's going to be the answer instead of bland things. And yoga can be very magical, by the way. It does not have to be bland. And like a lot of the times when I do yoga, I definitely, especially like depending on the instructor, or maybe it just depends, but there's usually an energy to yoga I've found, like as I've ventured into it a little bit more, that can be helpful. But what are we? So I'm not saying that's bland. I'm just trying to give an example. So anything else that would be helpful for you guys right now? And also, more magic is coming, so don't worry about the message if you're confused is something I'm getting. So they would like me to pull a card or just see what would be best to do here. They want me to talk about the Wheel of Fortune, like tarot card, is what they're showing me in my intuitive visuals. And right now, the wheel is like all over the place. Like some of you feel like you have good luck. Some of you feel like you have bad luck. Some of you feel like you're in between. Some of you feel like you're being spun between like good and bad luck constantly. And the question I'm hearing is like, what would stabilize the wheel for you? So for some of you, I would really sit, if you feel like have a lot of mayhem in your life, I'd really ground yourself and sit and ask yourself, like, what is causing the mayhem in my life for things to bounce around so much instead of being stable? And the spoiler alert is that it's you. I'm hearing for this example. And I would really dig deep and ask yourself, like, and this might not be all of you, by the way, but I'd really dig deep and ask yourself, like, why are you doing that? Like, what causes you to like lash out or create mayhem for yourself or create instability? And for some of you, maybe you even crave instability. And like, I'd ask yourself, like, what are you trying to like attain with that? Or what are you trying to give yourself with that? I feel like there's a lesson in there for all of you. But I feel like there is something you can do to stabilize the wheel, whether it's your own personal healing. Actually, I feel like for a lot of you, it is your own personal healing is something I'm hearing as we're on this message. And anything you can do to like just ground, stabilize your energies, ask yourself what it will take to like stabilize things. I feel like that's going to be helpful. And I know that's not like the answer necessarily, but maybe it's like a clue or just something that will spark the answer or bring you closer to that. Because I feel like the wheel is supposed to be good. You're supposed to be in a phase where the wheel is good soon. And I would also ask yourself how you can stabilize things and make that happen. And maybe, I don't like this phrase, but I don't feel like it's the total right thing to say. What's the best thing to say here? So don't leave it completely up to chance. Try to like do something in addition to like, to make it happen. So they want me to pull one tarot card, and I'm going to sing while I'm doing it, I guess. So we have the Lovers coming out here. And we have the Ace of Cups behind it as well. Some of you, this is like a love opportunity, which is really cool. I'm not, if you haven't noticed, I don't usually delve into like super deep into explicitly love readings, but let me see what's going on here. And some of you are seeing someone like, yeah, don't worry too much about this, but let's see what's going on here. Give me 1 second to see with this card here. Oh, and if you wanted to see the card, here is the Lovers. I'm trying to censor it because there's naked people on there. So give me 2 seconds here. So for some of you, like if you're single, especially if you've been waiting for a while, there is new love or like the potential for new love coming in. Or if new love is not showing up and you're like, whoa, what gives? I would ask yourself like what you could do to bring that in and like take action. I feel like for some of you, action is going to be what brings in love. It's not going to be like sitting around eating potato chips, scrolling through Tinder, wondering why nothing's happening. I feel like you kind of need to like put more of an effort in is something I'm getting. I feel like the sun is like at the top of this card. And what I'm also hearing is that the sun is coming for you in love, like all of you tuning in various ways, whether you're in a relationship or not. And some of you are just going to get an opportunity to feel more love for yourself if you're just like looking to be single, which is good as well. Also a lot of the challenge, there's like this mountain in the back and they're showing this mountain like crumbling and like turning into like dust and sand and just something that's easier to traverse. And so certain like challenges in love are rescinding. For others of you, like certain challenges that make goals seem unattainable, those are going away. So what I'm hearing is you're going to have an easier time achieving your dreams or taking the next step to do that, which is good. So with the Ace of Cups coming out behind that as well, for some of you, it's a new love offer like we've been talking about here, just kind of out of the blue. Not my typical reading style, but it's what's coming through, so I'll talk about it. I would really ask yourself, like, if that happens for you, ask yourself if the person really aligns with you and your targets in life and where you're going. And if they do, I would say yes. And, of course, if you're single and it's ethically makes sense, then yes, I would say yes is something I'm getting here. There's also this pond underneath sorry, I don't need to censor this one, Ace of Cups, and I'm hearing new waters in love, interestingly enough. So some of you are venturing into new territory in love, whether you're single or seeing someone or anything like that. And I feel like it's going to be very good for you. I would also just like be patient when it comes to love as well. Like you don't have to sort it all out tomorrow. You don't need to know like who your one is tomorrow or anything like that. So I'd be like willing to go with the flow a little bit and let things evolve and even let the universe teach you about love, like through the lessons you're in, through the people around you, through the examples the universe has shown you about love and like other relationships or friends who are in relationships. Because you're really being shown what you need to succeed if you're paying attention to the lessons the universe is showing you right now, whether directly or indirectly. Because of course, like you all have what it takes to succeed, I guess in general, but also in love. But this is more geared towards love. And just you need to realize that and also realize there are lessons here for you now that will help you be successful later on. And maybe like another question for you, like if you're with someone and you're struggling, is ask like, why are you with this person? And you might have a very good reason. And I just feel like it'll help you heal the situation if you dig deeper and realize that is something I'm getting. But I feel like what I'm hearing, and I hesitate to say this because it's a pretty bold claim, but new love for sure for those of you who are single, if you're looking for it. And I don't like saying that because it just sounds very bold, but that's what I heard. So I'm going to say it and just trust. That's it for the fire signs though. Maybe like one more message. So we have the 7 of Cups coming out here as well. I just hear if you have a lot of options, you're going to know which way to go and what to choose here. And I feel like the choice is going to be obvious, but I feel like that's in work as well. That doesn't have to just be love. That's just like anywhere you have options. At the bottom, I don't know if I like this deck as much because like just the words at the bottom are a little bit like darker than I like. I just feel like that's not always what this card means, like illusion and deception. I don't feel that for you. I'm kind of feeling like the illusion is actually fading regarding choices, which is good. So I'm going to close the reading there and hope that was helpful for you. Did whatever was for your eyes good. Kind of a weird direction towards the end. I'm not used to love readings popping in, but whatever. So I'm going to drink some water and sorry for the weird water bottle noises. So Earth sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Let's jump in. You're welcome, Amy Cutler. You're welcome, Heather. I hope that was helpful. Fire signs. This card deck is catching my eyes here. The Kali card deck. I feel like I pull this card a lot, but whatever. So this card came out here from the Kali Oracle card deck. It's called Kali Kalmasa Nasini. That doesn't mean much to me, I'm going to be honest, but if I were to read this card intuitively and get the channeled messages. So for some reason, as I was looking at this card, like back in the background, and maybe it just kind of reminded me of some of the fantasy novels I read as a teenager sorry, it's unmirrored, so I have to figure this out. Over on this side, it kind of like just reminded me of like how it would look with like battles. And I guess you could say this as well. There's all these like trees in the background, but it kind of reminds me of like the 7 of Wands or like the 5 of Wands. Like there's kind of like battles going on. But I feel like a battle is ending. It's in victory for you. I feel like also you're going to be in a good way, like hitting your targets and like really succeeding soon, or the opportunity to do so will present itself. So I also just feel like you're doing better than you realize, and you should pat yourself on the back and not beat up on yourself. And they're kind of giving me this message. I don't like this message, but they're just like, sometimes life is hard, and sure, it can get easier, and sure, you can manifest ease, but don't beat up on yourself when it's difficulty. I feel like there is a bit of an ending to difficulty, or difficulty is ending. Or you're going to end some difficulties in your life, something like that. Some type of difficulty ending is something I'm getting as well. I also get like, if you work with like deities at all, I feel like Kali is one of the deities that is working with a lot of you in this crowd for whatever reason, even if it's just temporarily. I feel like there are just ideas you need to let go of about yourself even, or about people in your life. And Kali is really trying to excise, as in remove, the negative ideas that are really holding you back. And again, I guess we're on this theme today, but especially if you beat up on yourself too much, because I feel like I told the fire signs not to beat up on themselves like 20 bajillion times. And so I guess we're still on that today for whatever reason. The first message that came through ahead of time beyond that is that you are on the cusp of something big, a new change, a new realization, a positive tower moment. So I'm going to ask about that more. A new direction, something like that is coming in. So things are about to tip in your favor, even if you don't think so. Even if you've been hearing that for years and you don't think it's going to happen, or probably more likely months, but I do feel like it's finally coming. Regarding the positive tower moment, sometimes that's just like a eureka moment or a realization that just kind of changes everything. And sometimes the tower is in our life. If we're going to use that tarot analogy for anyone new, nope, I don't think you need to hear this. Tower is like the Tower tarot card. It's like, usually it's one of the most feared cards in the deck, but I think people are kind of getting a bit more cool with it. They're like, okay, it doesn't have to be bad. And I'll get into examples about that as well. But sometimes there are like negative towers that need to come down, and we don't realize how good we'll feel once they do, whether it's like something we're trying to force to work, but it's not working, or an idea or belief we're holding that's really sticking us, or maybe it's even like a relationship that's like really negative. And the tower falling can be a really positive thing. I feel like it can just help you move forward regardless. Another example that they want to talk about really briefly is, there was one time that I did I think it was like an online tarot thing, because there were certain websites you could go to, and like it would like shuffle the cards and like give you this spread and like kind of give information. And like the thing I was desiring, which made sense, or because I think I did it for the next like 3 months out back at that time period. Definitely wasn't my favorite time of my life, but I did it for 3 months out, and the message I got as far as like what I'd be desiring was the tower. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But it made sense, because what I found was like I really wanted to move out of a kind of like crappy living situation. And so like I did desire the tower, that change, that collapse of what was there to like get to something better. And I feel like that's kind of what they're talking about. Maybe not the exact same, and hopefully you're not going through something terrible or crazy that you want to end, but I feel like something akin to that positive tower moment is what's coming in for you guys. Even if things are already good, I feel like it'll just make things better. And again, like it could just be like an idea or realization that's just like that eureka moment that changes the course of your life for you, as well. The next message was about a momentum. I feel like I've been saying this the past while recently, but momentum is the key is something I heard for you guys. I want to see if they want to clarify that. I would just work on keeping momentum going in like projects or relationships or like good habits, or gaining momentum in good habits or in projects or businesses or whatever you're doing that you'd like to succeed. I feel like momentum is going to be the thing that helps carry you through the tough times and gets you through the times where you might not otherwise take action. So they keep showing me a bowling ball, like how you get a bowling ball going and then it's kind of, I don't want to say it becomes unstoppable, but I would hope you become unstoppable for the highest good. But, the pins don't stop the bowling ball when you have enough momentum behind it. It just powers right through them. Like it just keeps going. And there might be certain things that might be tougher for you to get through if you don't have momentum, or like maybe even certain habits in place. So I would try to keep the momentum going or build momentum, and then tough times might not be so tough is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. And I'm not promising tough times for you or trying to create that or anything like that. It's just what I'm hearing. It could also just be another thing that turns the tides in your favor more and helps you succeed sooner. So momentum is the key, is something I'm hearing. Try to keep up momentum. Be the bowling ball that isn't stopped by the pins. And we're not doing no granny style bowling over here. We're okay, you get it. The next message, they showed me tofu, and I know we could get into a whole food debate about if tofu is healthy or not and all that, and let's not. The message is to eat healthy and to make sure you are at least trying to eat healthy. I feel like you'll be making gains like in every area if you're watching after your health right now. I feel like if you're watching after your health, you're going to be succeeding. And I feel like we were talking about bad times. I feel like watching over your health could eliminate the bad times entirely, is something I'm hearing, at least for some of you. I don't know if I'll promise that for all of you, but it could just at the very least help a lot. And they're showing me things like brain fog and all these troubles that can happen when you don't have the right nutrition that could just be avoided by eating right, like at least once a day or once a meal, something like that. So I would just try to stay on top of that. As something I'm getting. It could just be helpful or more helpful than you realize. At the very least, they're reminding you of it for a reason. Some of you are already on the ball, or maybe not. Maybe some of you just need to be more on the ball. Sorry, you get it. Next message, they showed me keys, and I know we talked about momentum being a key for you, but they also said a lot of the keys you need are coming. Sometimes we don't think about the key on our key ring that gives us access to our car or home. Sometimes it's just kind of not in our minds. We just kind of go through our day and we just use it and it's there. However, it is paramount to your daily activities. Sometimes when we don't have a major key we need in our life, metaphorically, like on a bigger scale, we think we can't do anything. But thankfully, a new key is coming to help you unlock the doors that have not been opening. And that is a major theme of this reading. So, all that being said, I feel like if you've been feeling like you've been lacking a major key to like open a major door in your life, that's coming in, which is fantastic. I feel like that's the time you're in where you have like access to all of your keys, or that's the time you're coming into over the next year and beyond. So I feel like you will be more unstoppable, which is good. Sometimes the reason we get held up is because we don't have the right tools in place, whether it's metaphysical tools, or it's something we need to learn for our business, or maybe it's a literal tool, or it's a software program or something. I don't know. But you're getting the right keys, which is good. And I wouldn't be like waiting for the keys necessarily. I'd be like trying to move forward as you feel called to, or take action on the things you'd like to do, and trust the keys will come in at the right time. Like, I don't know if I'd necessarily like sit still entirely, unless you're really feeling like intuitively that's the right thing for you to do. But I would know these keys are coming in, which is good. You're also showing me a dragon with a key. It reminds me of one of the Oracle card decks that I used to work with a lot, is the Dragon Oracle card deck. And I feel like you have a lot of keys coming from a lot of different areas, not just like one thing. So I'd be open to new things like teaching you, even if it's like spiritually, or open to new spiritual teachers. Some of you who feel like you'd be open to that, or things like that. That's not right for all of you though. Some of you just need to trust yourselves, and that's the key. And I know I'm saying like 20 different things, so it's going to be a little bit different for each of you maybe, but trust that that's coming in. The crux is the keys are coming in. Geez, the next message here, they're showing me a monster truck, and they're showing me back in when I was a kid, monster trucks, of course, were like one of the coolest things. And one of my favorite trucks at the time was the Gravedigger, which I think is like an iconic monster truck. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you too much more about monster trucks, except they have big tires, they go vroom, and they jump. And side note, I was thinking like, man, it must be cool to have that job. And you just like, I'm sure there's more to it, and maybe there's politics and stuff, like, but just, your job is literally driving a gigantic truck and like jumping it in stadiums and crushing cars. Like, that's gotta be ridiculous. But I digress. Why are we seeing monster trucks right now? I feel like you too can have a cool job. Funny enough, maybe I was right on target with my little spiel there. I feel like you too can have a cool job and things you would find really cool. There is also something about inner child healing coming in as well. So give me a second to sit with the message here. A lot of you are getting a major healing to your inner child coming in, and maybe some of you even like beat up on yourself for like things you liked as a child, or like who you were as a kid, maybe because you were different. But it's like those differences that make you great, and the less you're beating up on yourself, the better. So I feel like you're getting a major healing to your inner child where you welcome that in more, or like a healing to your childhood where things just get better for you in your now moment as well because of it. And sometimes when we, for instance, facilitate healing for our past, our now moment improves. They want me to tell this. Some of you are already very familiar with this. This is nothing new for you. But in Reiki, one thing you learn is distance sessions. And one thing you learn with distance sessions is that it's not limited by time or space. So you can facilitate a distance session for like, you know, a time in your past, or yourself in the past, or for your entire past. And one story that you'll often hear from people who try this is, or at least that I've encountered, are like people who like, they fell in a parking lot. I remember reading one story in particular where someone fell in a parking lot and like hurt their arm, and they're like, crap. And so what they did was they facilitated a distance Reiki session for them, like for the incident, like when they fell and hurt their arm, and like just kind of that whole past experience. And what they found was like their arm was like doing a lot better in the present moment as well. And it kind of, I don't want to limit it, nor do I want to get too fantastical, and if it's not warranted. I want to keep it balanced, but that can absolutely happen. And you know what? Miracles happen. We don't need to limit it, but that can absolutely happen. And why are we even talking about this? Maybe that's something some of you will feel called to do, is like facilitate a healing for a moment in your past, or like a traumatic event or experience, and really sit with it and do that, and trust you can heal your present through healing your past. I feel like for some of you, that is the key to healing something right now, or a key. So that could just be helpful for you, which is good. Anything else on that before we move on here? I would just know that there's a lot of inner childhood and inner child healing going on right now. Yeesh. They're showing me Easter and the Easter Bunny next here. I feel like some of you are getting a surprise for Easter, like a really big blessing or manifestation coming in. It's like an Easter surprise. And And they're also bringing in like, don't worry about the Catholic guilt or the Catholic meanings or, you know, theft of Easter, I guess. They stole it from the, who were it? I'm losing words here. Sometimes when you're in like channel mode, words do not mentally happen, unless they're giving you the words. Sometimes they do, but they stole it from the people who do. I'm sorry. I'm going to get back to the message, but you guys have a big blessing or something coming in, you know, on Easter, a lot of you, and if it's not, and if you don't, and you feel like that's supposed to be you and it doesn't happen, they're showing me an IOU. I feel like it's going to be Christmas instead. And I'm sorry for the time delay, but everything in the right time. Next message here. They just said you guys are on the right track, all of you. And, I feel like don't beat up on yourself. I feel like a lot of you are doing really great, or you are doing really great. Next message, they gave me the word earth healing. And they just said any little rituals you can do for the earth would be good. Not a typical message I get, but maybe you want to, if you do Reiki, like facilitate Reiki for the earth, or maybe just sit with the earth and the earth's energies and thank the earth, or get in tune with the earth somehow. Could be good. It was the pagans. It was the pagans that the Catholics stole things from, right? I'm sure the pagans among you are rejoicing with this message, though, or maybe like one of you, but that's okay. The next message, they showed me hair. I can't remember why they showed me hair, but I think it was like a hair like the rabbit, not just hair. No, it was hair. What's up with the hair here? For some of you, you need to like not be afraid of changing your hair. It's like a weird side message for some of you. It won't do anything. It's like you're afraid for nothing if that's you. If you're afraid of changing your hair for some reason. Next message, they said you are healing all the fear. Fear is releasing. It's a time to let go of fear. That will bring you the most progress, or at least a lot of progress. So if you'd like to make a lot of progress right now, or help your progress, do your best to release fear, or like work through fear as it comes up. I'm hearing the quote like fear is a lie. They want me to tell you. I originally heard this from Being You Changing the World Is Now the Time. That's a book by Dr. Dane here, who's a big access consciousness guy, which is a modality I think he co-founded, or he did something for it. And what was light for them, what was true for them that they found is that fear is a lie. And it can be something you're picking up on from other people, or it can be something that feels like fear, that seems like fear, but it's not. And the other thing I've heard about fear is, and you've probably heard this, if you're into self-help or development, you've probably heard something like this before. It's like fear really developed as like just a survival or a safety mechanism for us when we lived in the wild and like had spears and stuff and had to like fight tigers. Where it's like fear would show up because the lion was there, and we'd like have our response, and we'd run from the lion, or we'd fight the lion, or we'd do whatever we were supposed to do, and then it would go away. We'd be like, okay, threat's gone, we good. And one of the things I'll talk about in a lot of self-help is how fear, we don't really need it as much, because it's like a lot of the things is like we get this like fear response, and then we just like stay there, because a lot of it's like fear of like the future, like, oh, am I going to lose my job? Blah, 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 blah. And but if you really think about it, a lot of the times, even when you've lost a job, you've gotten a new one pretty soon after, or you were taken care of in some way and things worked out. So in some ways, like there's really nothing to fear. I would trust the universe. But two, it's like fear doesn't really like serve the purpose it should in modern day society, except in select instances. And you don't really like need it so much. So anything else on that we need to talk about here? I would just try to work through it because it's not serving you. And if you like go to do something, or like take on a project, or like do something you really would like to do, and you like fear comes up, like that's okay. You don't need to beat up on yourself, but now's the time to work through that instead of shy away from it is something I'm getting. And they're like, yes, that. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. But the other part is fear is a lie. And what is it really? Is it yours or someone else's is something I would ask. And the other thing I'd ask is, what else would you ask for that? That would help you guys out. Just know it's not true. You can move forward. You'll be fine. That's something I'm getting. So we're going to pull a card here. And the card I'm getting for you, Hanged Man is what's coming out here. And I know I've been getting this message with this card a lot the past couple weeks, but don't do this is what I'm getting. And Hanged Man is about like putting yourself on pause. It's about like not taking action. And usually it's about someone who puts themselves on pause, like gain clarity about something. Sometimes you're forced into this position. I'm not talking about that. Like if you're forced into like a delay or a Hanged Man mode, that's fine. But if you're purposely not taking action because you're afraid, do your best to work through that and turn that frown upside down and, take action is something I'd say, because I feel like that's just going to be what's helpful for you. And that's the message I'm getting. I feel like those of you who are forced into this or forced into a delay, that's going to be undone soon. And for those of you that is not undone soon, there's a really great purpose to that. And you're being like saved from like a travesty is something I'm getting. So what else would be... We're pulling a Mother Mary Oracle card, Our Lady of Radiant Grace. The other thing that's kind of jumping out at me is that it's card 33, which to me could just be like an Ascended Master kind of number. I know it's like an angel number, but I remember back in the day when I was first getting into all this and I was reading up on angel numbers, 333 was always about like Ascended Masters from the one that I would read about it. So let me see what they'd like to I know it can mean like 20 bajillion different things, and you pull... Back in the day, you'd even just like 5 years ago, you'd Google it and you'd get like 2 websites, and now you Google it and there's like 70 trillion websites on angel numbers, which is fair, but they all just kind of seem to say certain conflicting things, which is not as fun, I'm sure, for the modern day person just getting into this. But what's the message with the card here? Our Lady of Radiant Grace, if you want to see it. One, the obvious thing, and what I'm hearing is that grace is coming in for you, and a lot of like smoothing over of just like fear. And they're showing that scene from Tarzan, the cartoon Tarzan, Disney's Tarzan, where the gorilla is like cradling the baby and like comforting the baby. I feel like Source is trying to cradle you and like comfort you about certain things. I feel like you're not listening, and maybe in some ways like a part of you wants things to be wrong because you're more comfortable there. And they're giving me the word ego as well as I'm saying that. So I'd say like if that is you, and it happens, but that is ego, and I would do your best to like let go of that and let go of the fear and allow Source and the universe to comfort you, even if you have to go kicking and screaming into it. Because like grace is here for you if you'll allow it in and accept it. I'm also hearing like, I know we just had this message about, sometimes things are difficult, but I also feel like things don't have to be difficult. That's what part of like what is trying to be shown to you, what Source is trying to show you. And I feel like if you're willing to allow that and receive that, you're going to be okay. And if you're not sure how to do that, I just like set the intention. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how it's going to show up or how to do this, but Source, please get me there to allowing and receiving grace and things being easier. Thank you so much. And funny enough, I guess she's cuddling a baby too in this card, but anything else with this message here? So with the 33 and the that whole thing here, they're showing me 3 blessings coming in maybe in the next month or so, because I'm hearing in the next month or so, or maybe next 2, that you've really been praying for, whether it's something like really resolves and works out, or you've been trying to like heal something, because they're also showing like a pressure point in a massage, and like the pressure point finally or like releases and like is healed. Some of you are getting a healing you've been praying for, like regarding something you've been really hung up on. Others of you, like if you're single, I feel like it's another message of like love coming in or something like that. Some of you, not all of you, by the way, especially if you're like single. But like 3 different blessings. And I feel like one of them is a healing coming in the next month that you deserve. And I feel like the universe is going to bring it in full force, and like no one can stop it is something I'm getting as well. And there is more with this card, so we're not done here. What else would be fast going to come through for you? I'll let you guys look at the pretty artwork while I'm getting the message here. So some of you, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but hang with me for a second here. In a good way, not in hangman mode. Some of you like need to treat yourselves like a baby, but like in like a good taking care of yourself way. It's like would you give a baby cake all the time? No, you'd feed the baby healthy baby food so the baby could grow and build strong muscles and be big and strong and smart and stuff. Would you like make the baby watch horror movies all the time? No, you'd make, I'm not saying you need to watch Teletubbies. You'd have it watch kids shows and things that would be like nourishing to the baby. So what can you do to like nourish yourself right now? And if you were metaphorically a baby, how would you take care of you? It's a very strange question. And I know sometimes it's like, well, I wouldn't force a baby to work 40 hours a week. And I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But while like balancing that with like doing the things you need to do and honoring your responsibilities, maybe do like a little balanced mind trick here of like, how would I take care of myself differently if I were like growing myself as a baby? And maybe you'll get some ideas or help yourself out there, if that makes sense here. I also just feel like you're being divinely protected. I'm also getting like, especially from like false influences or like people who mean you harm. You're just divinely protected from all that crap is something I'm getting. One more tarot card is what I'm getting. We have the Nine of Pentacles, which is good, and material well-being. Okay, they don't want to read the phrase at the bottom because I can't get it out of my mouth, and sometimes that happens when it's not the right thing to say. I feel like you guys are moving into abundance, and at the very least into an abundance mindset, but that like attracts and brings a lot of abundance. I feel like there's a lot the universe is trying to give you, like materially even, that's coming in soon because you're ready for it. So I would open wide to receive like money, material things like that as well. And I feel like you earned it or you deserve it. You deserve really good things, most of you. Perhaps all of you. I don't know. I don't want to say you don't deserve good things. That's kind of the reading is what I'm getting. I feel like usually there's like a parrot or a strange bird on the Nine of Pentacles and the normal, the classic artwork. Reminds me of like you know how people will talk about bands and be like, oh, only listen to their old stuff. Only listen to the Rider Waite version of tarot. It's a joke. Not true. But I think there's like a bird or some type of parrot usually on the Nine of Pentacles. And what's the message with the parrot here? I feel like if you feel like you keep having a repeat of the past or you're going through a repeat of the past, that's like healing and it's not going to happen again, or at the last second it changes and it doesn't go the same way it did in the past. So I feel like you're getting like a healing regarding repeat circumstances. And they're kind of saying that's it. And they're ending it out with grasshopper. And what's up with grasshopper here? They're just giving me the words go big. I would go bigger in life than you ever have before. I would dream big. I would manifest big. I guess you could say live big. I wouldn't like, run up your credit cards or anything, but see yourself as big, manifest big, dream big. Like, don't play small right now. I would go for the highest good, the absolute largest thing or version of your dream or whatever you can absolutely go for, because you can attain it. And don't beat up on yourself if you don't, like in the next year or whatever, or in like 2 days or whenever people start beating themselves up. But you're going to get so much more out of going big than playing small. And I feel like you deserve big things. So that's something I'm hearing as well. I'm not just saying nice things. That's literally what I heard. So sometimes that's, I don't know. I was going to get into the whole thing, but I don't know if talking about my pet peeves is always a healthy thing to do on here. But sometimes people just like get online and just like say things and they're like, you're doing great. I'm like, am I? Like if it's intuitive and it's channeled and it's for me, it's like, or it's like a synchronicity from the universe. I'm like, thanks universe. But sometimes it's just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. I just want something real. Let's go to the air signs, please. I'm going to drink water first. I'm feeling a little loopy right now. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to take 2 seconds here. Okay, start the air signs. Hope you guys are having a good day. I feel the same. Yeah. Authenticity is key. I really agree. Beeple AF. I hope I'm saying that right. I love that. I really agree. And I feel like one of my things I've realized being just as I started on TikTok and like doing this is that, oh, hey, Be Divine. I don't think I've seen you in, if that's the same Be Divine, I don't think I've seen you in a long time. And how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. What was I going to say? Authenticity like really is key. Like there have been so many times I've been like just being yourself, authentically connecting with people, like doing your thing and like being genuine with it just like makes so much of a difference. And like people can tell online or on podcasts. And one thing I've always wanted to say as well, which is a slight deviation, and they're kind of telling me not to say it, but like who you are, I feel like matters, and like you being yourself and like either working on that or just bringing that to the front really matters. And people can really connect with that a lot more than like hiding behind a persona, or I don't know, you get it. I'm getting lost in my words, and I thought it was going to go a lot deeper and be more profound than that, but it's not, so it's fine. We're going to go to the air signs. Hope you're doing great. So, air signs, sun, moon, or rising. The first word that came through for you ahead of time, okay, there's that, but there's also something they're showing me now as I'm jumping into this reading, where if you guys will think back to like Hercules, the cartoon, the Disney cartoon, not your past life in Greece, but the cartoon, the Disney cartoon from this lifetime. And there's this like tornado monster in that cartoon, I believe, that Hercules fights. And like, for some reason, like they're showing me, give me 1 second here. They're showing me that. I feel like you guys are moving out of a really tough time is something I'm getting. And maybe you feel like you've been through a tornado, and maybe it even seems like the tornado is swinging back around for like seconds and thirds, but it's not going to. I feel like it's over. So if you made it through something tough, pat yourself on the back. I know it might even feel like a tough loss, because they're showing me like a soccer team coming in from the field after a tough defeat or something like that. But I would just pick yourself up, and as the soccer players would pick themselves up and start practicing again and just get ready for the next, match. I would do the same. Essentially, I'd just pick yourself up and be better. Do your best to be better in the going forward is something I'm getting. I feel like you're going to do great as well. The next message, they show me the word believe. And would it be for me to talk about that portion of it? Yeah, yes and no. No and yes, overall yes. Really, they were showing me the sign. I don't know if you guys have seen this show, but personally, I liked it. I watched it recently with the person I'm dating, and it's Ted Lasso. It's on like Apple TV. Actually pretty good. I thought there were some like, it gave me certain, I mean, sure, there was some drama and stuff with it, but it gave me some hope for some of the direction television is going, because there was actually emotional intelligence in the show. I was very relieved. That's like one of my pet peeves with television, is how most movies and shows, like, it's just so over dramatic, and just like the reactions characters have are like from like the 1800s, when like everyone was like 13 and like at war with each other, or something like that. It seems, because like it's like, and most plot points could be solved with like a 2-minute conversation. And I feel like if the plot point in the major, like the whole hour and 30-minute film could have been solved with a 2-minute conversation, I don't like it, is usually how it goes. But that's my pet peeve about television. That's why I get annoyed, because it's just like the lack of emotional intelligence in like a lot of older TV shows is just, and I know it was for the drama and for, but I don't like it. It's just hard to watch, because it's just, I don't know. It's like watching a lot of 2-year-olds like waddle around in the playground and hit each other with shovels. And you're like, it's fine when you're 2, but these actors are like 30. So I don't know. Let's move on. They showed me the word believe, and they were showing in that show, Ted Lasso, there's a sign that says believe on it that he puts above his door, and it's supposed to be a whole thing. My personal point of view, which is, doesn't have to be yours, and doesn't even have to be what my guys are trying to say with this message. I don't even like the word like belief and believe. One thing I found, like when I'm working with things like beliefs is, or different things or different practitioners, is sometimes you just kind of have to like, not like switch paradigms, but almost be a little bit like flexible. Like maybe your like paradigm has like modes to it. So like right now I'm in like Reiki mode, not right now, literally, but like I might see a practitioner and like they'll bring through messages a specific way, like in their style, and I kind of have to like be open to getting the core of the message, and like being open to them delivering it from their frame or where they're coming from, and then being able to like translate it into how it would actually apply to me, or just if that makes sense. And like, so some people, like I might, like one time, what's the best thing to say here? some people might work a lot with like beliefs. And so I might have to like switch my like paradigm from like what I'm about to tell you to like, okay, I can see what they're talking about. I can work with this. I can tinker with this. We can have the shifts, and I come back to this or to a different place that's better. For me, my thing about beliefs is like, why would I need to believe anything when I can just channel it and know it? And that did come after like, years of honing in my, it came in when I like realized I was accurate. And I was getting the accurate information, and my intuition was telling me accurate things. It'd be like, why do I need to believe in God when I can know? Or why do I need to believe in angels when they're right there? Or why do I need to like believe in this thing when they're telling me it's not true and it doesn't exist? It's like, you don't have to believe as much. You can just know, is maybe my personal thing, I would say. But I digress. The message they were trying to say for you is that you have more possible for you than you are willing to admit. So believe that you can accomplish what you set out to accomplish, and believe in yourself and your ability to accomplish. I'm sorry for my big tangents. Hopefully that was helpful to hear in some way. So you have more possible for you that you are willing to admit. Believe that you can accomplish what you set out to accomplish. Believe in yourself and your ability to accomplish. Again, there's a lot possible for you. Even if you've been through a defeat, I feel like there's a lot possible for your future. And they're showing me a bright future as well, or like the possibility for a very bright future. And they're saying all of you have a bright future if you're willing to accept it, interestingly enough. But now is a good time to believe in yourself, believe you can accomplish things, and like set out to do that. They're showing me like a person on fire, but like in a good way. Like, The Incredibles. I'm throwing out references left and right today. Hopefully this is fine. I'm sure it is, but they keep showing me all these different things from shows and movies and things. But they're showing me like the baby from The Incredibles who like sets it, not in like a harmful way, but it like turns into like a fire baby, like the Human Torch, like from the Fantastic Four or whatever. And that could be more like you, or like you're on fire. Or you have the capability to be like on fire and like really crushing it, but you just have to like pick yourself up and keep moving forward, regardless of any like losses you've suffered. And you can do great things, and you will, I feel like, for at least some of you. But are you willing to allow yourself to do it is the question. And maybe that's a mantra for you, is I allow myself to do great things. And it sounds a little bit silly, but sometimes maybe that would help you step out of your own way. The next message, they just said, you are a gift if you will allow yourself to be. What's up with this allow thing for you guys today? You guys are just more of a gift to the world than you realize is something I'm getting, or you really can be. And one thing I'm hearing is just to allow source to work through you, allow God to work through you, or maybe set that intention every day and just see how things change as you're allowing the divine to work through you in your everyday life. And things will change is something I'm hearing. But that could set you on the right path if you feel like you're off the right path. Is something I'm getting. None of you truly are. I don't feel like any of you are off the right path, but maybe that would just help improve things over time or raise your vibration. Next message, there is just a message that truth is coming in for you guys. So you are on a path of truth or a path where truth is unveiled. I'm also hearing finally. So maybe some of you guys have been burying your head in the sand and like not willing to accept certain truths, like maybe about, even for some of you, not all of you, I'm hearing it might be about like a husband, or it could be about like, a certain situation at work or anything like that. But I feel like the truth is coming in a very gentle way where you can accept it and move forward correctly, and you will be, is something I'm getting. We're also just in a time of truth, and that's something that just started showing up again today. It's kind of always been here recently, but I remember there was a time, they don't want me to say this, I'm so sorry. So what would you like me to say for the highest good? Just know there's more truth coming in, and that's pretty much the message. The next message, they showed me the words higher knowing. They just said wisdom is the best place to operate from, such as like channel information, intuition, knowing, etc. Not necessarily just knowledge. Knowledge without wisdom is meaningless, is what they're saying here for you right now. And I don't know if that's like a blanket statement I'd always want to make, but that's what's coming through for you. So keep that in mind. What would be fast for me to tell you about this one here? I was watching the energy update for this year by Lee Harris. I think he has it on YouTube if you're interested. And it was a little bit different than his normal thing, but that's one of his messages that I really liked was, and I feel like it'd be helpful for anyone to hear, so I'll say it here too. But one thing he said, or that his guide said, was like wisdom wins in this new energy or this in new earth and like this thing we're heading into, you could say, like the times we're in, the times we're heading into. And by wisdom, what he meant was like, okay, like wisdom is like channeled information, it's intuition. It's not necessarily just like something that's like locked up in your head, you know, or like you regurgitating information from a self-help book or something like that. It's like actually being connected, in tune, and going with that and working with that realm, you could say, instead of just the human minds. And I think so many people, and maybe this is going away, and I hope it does, like would convince you that it's like smarter to go with like your brain and human logic, and sometimes a mix of both, like intuition, and that is best. But what I've really found, well, what would be most helpful for you to hear? That's not necessarily the case for you, is something I'm getting. I feel like wisdom is going to be key and like the best place to operate from. So I know like if you're like newer to this and you're like, my intuition's not honed in, they're like, don't worry, at the right time it will be. But what can you do to connect with wisdom in small ways, whether it's like working with oracle cards or something like that, or, you know, watching certain readings that, whether it's on here or YouTube, that you know are accurate for you, that are consistently helpful for you, or booking certain readings, and it doesn't have to be with me, with whoever is your go-to, or just a person that's really helpful for you and accurate. And that could be a way to start inviting in wisdom, or you know, you could just invite wisdom to you and invite operating from wisdom and set that intention and see what starts to show up. And whether it shows up right away or not, you'll at least be moving in that direction. But don't let this world berate you away from your intuition or make you think you're crazy for operating from your knowing, especially if it works for you and like you know it's accurate. The craziest thing at that point would be to let go of that when you already know, if that makes sense. If you already have something that's honed in and working for you, I feel like, funny enough, the logical thing would be not listening to the people who would tell you to let go of that, especially if it's working for you. It'd be kind of like walking around in a dark cave with a flashlight and just like dropping the flashlight and trying to feel around in the dark like everybody else. Or like, you know, breaking your lantern because people are saying, oh, what are you doing? That's crazy. You're like, I'm seeing. Anyways, next message was to go easy on yourself regarding everything. And just to be gentle on yourself. Must be a common message right now. Maybe just everyone needs to hear it. The collective energies are a little crazy right now, I'm going to say as well. Like there's a lot going on, like maybe even like behind the scenes on the world stage that maybe we're not being told, or maybe there's certain things changing we don't realize are changing. So if you're feeling a lot of like weird energies, or even like, I don't know if any of you feel like attacked, and that's not a place I usually go with these readings. I feel like that's going to come to an end. Like things are going to be better, which is good. You're just like in a temporary crazy time and like things will improve is kind of the message. There was a message as well, just to like stop rushing in general. If you're rushing on anything, and like Rome wasn't built in a day was the quote they gave me, like especially regarding projects. So I would take it one step at a time. And maybe even, I don't want to force you into baby steps. If you're making good progress and you feeling good about what you're doing, do what works. But if you're rushing and things are falling apart, or you feel like you're going crazy trying to rush through things, just take it one step at a time, or do baby steps, or do it at whatever pace is right, but don't rush. Next message, they showed me an elephant. They just said it might be good for you to pray for obstacle removal. That's a recommendation they have for you. So build a crystal grid for it. Put on meditations for obstacle removal. Whatever works for you. Talk to Ganesha, you know, ask Ganesha to help. Ganesha is the Hindu deity of removing obstacles. So whatever works for you. Next message they just said, you know, I know we talked about this a little bit, but you are on the right track. Most of you. Those of you who don't feel like you're on the right track here, Source is doing everything it can to get you on the right track. So just allow yourself to be on the right track, and you will be, is what I'm hearing, which sounds like a cop-out, but I guess it's not. Next message, they said you're on the right road. So that's good. And they're giving you a round of applause for that, which is good. So they did show me black tourmaline as well for this reading. I know we just talked about this in the last sign, but I think what I'm getting is you're more protected than you realize in every area. And it's tempting to think of ourselves as exposed and vulnerable at all times, and like the world's out to get us and we suck and people hate us. But I don't know why this is all spilling out. Hopefully, whoever that is, hopefully you're okay in getting out of that mindset. But you're actually divinely protected from a lot, and the only things that get in are the things that teach you something, or the things you need to move forward, or the things you need to help people through something in the future, or that are right for your path is something I'm getting. And you can set the intention for something different, and that's actually recommended as well. But just know there's a reason for what you're going through. They did show me like smoke and someone smoking hookah as well, but I didn't get the full message on that one. So what's up with that? If you utilize smoke for healing, if you do shamanic things like that, I would keep doing that. It's something I'm getting. Like some people use like tobacco smoke for healing, or like it could even just be sage and Palo Santo, and or other herbs. If you have ethical qualms with sage, whatever works for you, I'm sure is fine. But weird message, like if you use smoke for healing, I'd keep doing that. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I am. And anything else before we start to part ways? We're going to pull a card. They want another Mary card. Our Lady who sends the angels, and I'm hearing ask for help. I'd be asking for angelic assistance every day. I'd be asking for the universe for assistance every day. It's like help is available to you. Just ask is something I'm getting. And you might find things changing as you ask for help. And if you don't already do this, or if you used to do this and you forgot, and this is your reminder, I feel like that's one thing I'm hearing first and foremost with this card. You also just have better coming is something I'm getting. I feel like the angels are laying a path for you, but it's slow. And you might want them to speed up. But what are those jokes about construction workers, like especially in the United States, where they just like stand around and like hold a shovel while one dude works, and it takes like 20 years or whatever. It's kind of like that, except it's like the perfect pace and it's warranted. And they're kind of just saying like, hey, like, why don't you be patient and trust? And at the right time, this road will be ready and you'll be moving forward with ease and grace, but you have to wait for the right puzzle pieces to come in and the right people to come in, and not beat up on yourself because the angels are taking a long time or whatever. They're just kind of giving that slow and steady wins the race message here. There is like a peacock on this card as well. It's like peacock feathers right there. I am getting a message of strutting your stuff, but let's see what they have to say here. It's about being bold is something I'm getting. Speaking your mind, like in relationships, would be recommended in a healthy way. I don't know if you want to like explode on people necessarily, but not being afraid to speak up, or even if you are afraid, just like speaking up anyways and doing your best, and trusting that it will be received well enough so that you can work through something. And if it isn't, maybe that's something to consider moving forward in that relationship, as far as like, is that a good, I don't know, you get it. I feel like the right people would be willing to work with you, even if you're afraid to say something, or would have some grace for you. It's also about being bold with what you dream of, which I know the earth signs got a similar message, but I feel like now is a time to dream big for you as well. And trust that you're not dreaming too big, and there's no such thing as dreaming too big, regardless of what it is. And for those of you who need to hear this, the universe will get you to the size you're supposed to be at, whether it's your work or a following or something like that. Maybe it's about your literal physical size. I don't think so, but considering this is about boldness and dreaming big, but that's something I'm getting as well. And one more, I feel like the wounds of there's a big heart on this one. There's a lot of hearts on a lot of these cards. Like there's a heart here. But I do also get that your heart is healing, because they were showing like a thorn or like a wound in the heart on the card, like healing. And I just feel like I'm going to be feeling a lot better soon, which is good. They would like me to close the reading there. They're showing me the moon, and like how people would make wishes during a full moon or during a new moon. And I'd just be working with the moon if you feel called to it right now. Moon water, making wishes with the moon. I feel like it's going to be helpful. Even if it seems silly, or it's just like, yeah, every girl with a mason jar on TikTok keeps talking about the moon water or something. It's like, doesn't matter. If you feel called to it, I would try it. I didn't say that right, so I'm not trying to make fun of girls with mason jars and moon water at all. But okay, what else would be fast good for me to get to here before we move on here? I would also just, for whatever reason, I just feel like you're on the right road, and I would just know you're on the right road. That's something I'm getting. And one more message here. They're showing me an anteater, which is about a unique path. And I feel like some of you are expecting a traditional path, but it's not going to be. And you have to be open to the universe, like bringing you down unique paths, or you bringing you to unique ways of doing things that work for you. And I feel called to say this message, and something I'm hearing is like, if everything that was already out there in the world that everyone already did, or the Joe Schmoes did worked, they're kind of just saying like, wouldn't you be doing it too? Like, wouldn't everyone be doing it? And it would just be like working for everyone. But that's not always the case for like, what everyone's doing or everything that's out there. I'm hearing a bunch of different things kind of like popping into my head that I'm hearing as messages as well. Like another example would be like, sometimes I would walk outside and I'd look at like a bunch of people who were like older, who like owned houses, and just like how maybe they had an easier time getting those houses. And I'd kind of be like, oh man, like that must be really nice, like having a house, like you could do all these cool things. You'd have this cool like room for whatever. And then like, the person who owned the house would like, I would be on a walk and they'd step outside and I'd look at them and their energies. I'd be like, you know what? I'm glad I'm not them actually. Maybe I'm right where I need to be and I don't need to try and be anyone else or wish for, maybe I'm fine. Cause like they just didn't look happy, or they'd be like, they'd look really worn out, or maybe they'd look like they were on drugs or something. And, maybe they were like trapped in a marriage they didn't want to be in, like, or they had like a job that really sucked, even if they owned a house. Like there's all these different things that like play into it, where it's just like, and like, sure. And I'm not going to discount that maybe I'll, own a house in the future, and like that's not out of the cards for me by any means. Like it's just right now it's just not maybe the best move, or maybe it is. I don't know, we'll see. But just like something like that was like popping in, where it's just like maybe you see these people with this traditional path, like 9 to 5, they have a house, they have the wife and the kids and the picket fence, but like maybe their life is miserable and they hate it, and maybe you would too. So don't poo-poo that interesting or unique paths or ways of doing things the universe might be bringing your way in general. Or maybe like you have like a unique relationship and it's like not like a traditional like setup, but maybe it works for you, and that's not a bad thing. Okay, I'm going to close the reading. So hope that made sense and did whatever is for the highest good for you. And sometimes I go to close readings and there's more messages. They're showing me a lightning and like a lightning strike, and it's about sudden changes, which came through for the water signs as well. But there are going to be a lot of sudden changes coming in I feel like it's for everyone here, not just for the air or water signs in the next month or so. And it could be little things as well, but it could also be big, or little, but a lot of sudden shifts, and just, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's just something coming in with that for whatever reason. Okay. Anything else before we move on here? Any other surprise messages? Nope. I'm going to drink water and we'll move on to the water signs, I guess. Okay. Water sign, sun, moon, or rising. Of course, it's for you when you see it. And you're doing good with remembering to hydrate. Thanks, Destiny. I feel like I've been getting in the habit of just drinking between readings. So thank you. And you all, I joke when I say you all yell at me, but I feel like if I don't, it's just like water, which is great. Actually, I appreciate it. Also, just shout out to the moderators. Shout out to Destiny. Anyone else here who is helping with moderating I didn't see. I appreciate you guys. You guys make this a lot easier to focus on the readings and to do what I'm here to do today. So thank you so much. Thanks, Destiny. Sun and love. So let's jump into the water sign, sun, moon, or rising. Of course, it's for you when you see it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're here now, it's for you now. Everyone today has been getting this message that you're on the right track. So you're on the right track is the first message that's coming through for you. The water signs also got this message that I just talked about before the reading, and they showed me a teleporter, but it was a message that a lot of things are going to happen instantly, like instant shifts, instant growth, instant changes at work, instant transformation. I'm hearing instant changes in you, instant changes in life, like a lot of instant shifts coming in for the better and for the highest good. And they just said like, you haven't seen things move this fast. So you haven't seen things move this fast. And we are in this time where things can shift instantly. If you've put a lot of effort into something in the past and like it hasn't budged, I feel like it's giving way for things to shift. It's almost, I don't want to say this because it's not literal, but it's all the thing they're showing me is this example of like things becoming immaterial, and suddenly like you could or maybe like a video game is a better example. It's like in a video game, if you're like building a house, for instance, in certain games, and there's like a building thing you can do in the game. Like sometimes you could just like take a wall and just like delete it and like move it over here and like make the room bigger or things like that. Whereas in like in real life, you have to like bring in a bulldozer. You got to like check the foundation, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just YOLO it, but you know, I don't even, I haven't really demoed a house. So you could correct me on the proper things probably regarding that. But I feel like it's just going to be like, it's almost like the words I was hearing are like things becoming immaterial and like just easier to like shape. And it would be almost like if you could like turn matter, like a physical thing, into like water and like change it into a different shape and then make it more like material again. Or I don't know, things will just be more changeable and shiftable, but it's like how it's supposed to be. And maybe the way certain things have been like locked in and difficult to shift is not the way things are like meant to be going forward, is something I'm getting. And I feel like I'm feeling a mix of like that was the right thing to say and that wasn't the right thing to say. So I'm going to ask for clarification to help you guys out here. I just know a lot of things are going to be more changeable. That's really the crux of the message, which is cool. Like things will be less locked in a negative capacity. Next message, they show me a volcano. It was about explosive action. So if you've been sitting still, you're going to take explosive action at the right time regarding your endeavors. I feel like some of you have been like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, either like waiting for a sign or like waiting to take action. And maybe that's exactly what you've been needing to be doing. Maybe not, but I feel like at the right time, you're going to have like explosive action and do like 10 things at once. Whereas before it would take you like a week to get anything done. Nothing wrong with that. It just might be like maybe you were healing something, but that's something that's coming in as well. I keep getting a lot of messages about forward movement and forward momentum around this time period. And I feel like that is coming in for you guys still. And maybe like it came in before. I'm hearing, no, it's been coming in. So, okay, maybe it's been coming in. Next message is that people are on your side. Don't think everyone is against you. I think sometimes we have it in our head. We have like enemies or people who have it out for us. Sometimes we do sort of, but sometimes you don't and you think you do. And even if you do, they can't harm you is something I'm getting. So try to get out of the mindset that people are your enemy is something I'm getting, because they're not necessarily. Like they might be wounded. Anything they're trying to do against you is probably coming from a wounded place is something I'm getting. Excuse me. Anything else on this here? I would just see like, seeing people as your enemy just might not be the right way to go about things is something I'm hearing for whatever reason. So maybe there's another paradigm you can take that would help you, or just see it as people coming from a wounded place and then move on with your life is something I'm getting, instead of getting wrapped up in the fights or any type of like energetic battles or anything like that. Next message, they just said you have a lot of healing coming your way, especially if things have been rough. So life is going to help you. A lot of you think nothing's going to help you, but a lot is going to help you. So I don't know if that's for all of you, but sometimes maybe like you try a bunch of things and nothing's helping and you're like, what gives? But I feel like a lot of things that are going to help are coming in, which is good. And sometimes, not always, life likes to wait till the last moment to like come and save the day. And I'm not sure why, but it's just something I'm hearing right now. And if you're going through a troubling situation, I wouldn't give out until the last moment, because sometimes source saves the day at the last second. And I'm not sure why. Next message here was that they gave me the word truth. And this was a message I was getting a lot like towards the end of last year, but it's coming back right now today. They just said, be honest with yourself about everything right now. Like honesty solves problems. You just have to be willing to see truth and be honest with you. And a lot resolves and slides into place instead of being a struggle. Be honest and things help. This could be about relationships. It could be about yourself. It could be about a job, about your life. And I would really sit and like ask for source to unveil the truth in a gentle and ease-filled way. Perhaps even that isn't too painful and in a way you can handle, and then ask to do the best things to do about it. And there's that very typical quote that the truth will set you free, that you will see anyone say, and it can be true. So I feel like a lot of your struggles, I'm hearing a weird quote. I don't know if it's true for all of you, but like a lot of your struggles are like because of a lie, either like a lie you tell yourself or like a lie about the way you're living. I don't like that message. I don't feel like it's totally right. What's the best thing to say here? One way or another, uncovering the truth is going to help you. And I think I'll leave it there. And if you are lying to yourself, uncovering the truth is going to heal a lot. The next message, they showed me a fox again for the water signs. They just said that they said you know a lot more than you realize, and that a lot is going to be unveiled. This is a good thing. So what's the best way to say this here? Some of you are very intuitive and you need to trust that, and your knowing is online, and you really just need to roll with it and not question it or not second guess it. For others of you, you're realizing that you know a lot, or your knowing is coming online very strongly, and you're going to be knowing a lot, and you're going to be shown that you know a lot, and like what that means is something I'm getting. So I would trust that, but that's a good thing. Honestly, I would much rather know than not know. So the next message that showed up, is there more with Fox here? I'm getting a really weird quote where, and here's what I heard. Can I get that again? Because it was weird. It was like a really interesting thing to try and say. It was a weird, I'm going to try and paraphrase it, because it was something along the lines of, I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask them to bring it back later because I'm not even going to try and say it. It was a tongue twister. Next message, they showed me a penguin, and they showed me like a penguin, the spirit animal. Then they showed me like the penguin, the enemy or the villain from Batman. And then they showed me an emperor penguin for anyone who wanted to get really specific about what penguin was showing up. And they just said penguins like look unassuming, but they can accomplish a lot. And it said, this seems like a common theme today. That's you. You might look like you can't do much, but you can do everything and accomplish a ton, and you will. Don't think of yourself as incapable, as it just adds to the illusion. Know that you can accomplish anything, and of course, yes, ideally it's aligned with source and light, but know you can accomplish anything, then put the work in. So, and maybe you could even ask that, like, what you accomplish is aligned with like source and what's for the highest good. I would, it's recommended. Regardless, just you can accomplish anything. Put in the work is something I'd say. Anything else that would be for your highest good regarding that, or anything else here? And you know, like, I don't know if I used the word unassuming correctly, but penguins kind of just look like they waddle around and like can't do much. But I guess in this instance, they can, and you can, which is good here. We're gonna pull a card. Give me 1 second. What would be best to do here? They're showing me the 7 of Pentacles. I'm getting the words like work hard and like work harder. And it was funny because I was just thinking about going into a spiel about putting in the work. So what would be highest to bring through here about this? A lot of you, if you're putting in the work, you're going to see results. Sometimes that's the missing ingredient in anything is, I'm hearing the word like wishful thinking, like sometimes like, and sometimes this does work, and I don't want to take this away from you. It's working for you. Like sometimes we wish for things and like thinking can just happen. And sometimes it can, but at the same time, sometimes what our intuition tells us to do when we wish for something is the exact action and work we need to put in and take to make it happen. Sometimes it's a combination of both. So I don't want to limit it and what can show up and how easily it can show up, but, if you feel like the missing ingredient is just you putting in the work, I would put in the work. I feel like that would really change things for those of you who need to hear that. I know it sounds really simple, but sometimes that is the sauce. That is the thing that makes the difference. Like for example, like even if you want to like, what's the best example to use here? If you want to channel or you want to do readings, like sometimes you just need to show up and put the work in until you can do it. And it's like, that is, you know, sometimes that's it. Sometimes there's like secrets and like things you can do and techniques and all that stuff. And sometimes you showing up and putting in the work is what unveils that to you and brings that in. But I'd be putting in the work in right now is something I'm getting as well. They are giving me the word ease next, so they probably want to balance that message here. I feel like ease is possible if you're working and putting in the work right now. And maybe that's what like leads to ease, is if you're putting enough work into things. But if you're questioning whether or not you're putting enough work into things, or if you're working hard enough on something, maybe for some of you, try working a little bit harder and just see what happens. And that might like push the needle. For others of you, or is there a way to clarify the message better here? Some of you just need to work a bit harder, and that's it. Is kind of the message I'm getting as well. The next message here, let me shuffle these cards actually. They actually wanted that card. What came out was the card Our Lady of, and this card here, Our Lady of Sacred Waters came out, and I really feel like it's about rapid healing, and it's also about like soaking up healing. Like they're showing someone like laying in the waters and like soaking up, and the waters represent healing, and they're soaking up healing right now. I feel like the universe is bringing you like an ocean of healing, and you're going to be soaking up a lot of it, but I feel like it's quick and easy and like light filled. It's not like devastating, and it's not like crazy. Like, what's the best way to say this? It's not going to be like 20 years of devastation and healing crises and terrible things while you heal. It's going to be lighter and easier, which is good. Our Lady of Divine Direction is the one that they really pulled as I was shuffling the card as well. One thing they're pointing my eyes to, there's a lot of different things that on this card they're pointing my eyes to, but there's these like stars on this purple part of her cloak, and they look kind of like starfish is one thing it reminded me of. But if I were to get the message here, there's three different things I'm hearing at once. It's like hope, it's rapid healing, it's rapid success, or like success is something I'm getting. A lot of you have rapid success coming in something, even if it's just like forward movement and you finally feel like you're becoming successful, or finally feel like success is possible, or something like that. Like we just talked about with you soaking in the healing, a lot of you have rapid healing coming, and starfish can represent healing because they just regenerate really quickly. As I'll say, like I feel like I've said this like 20 times, but you cut off the leg of a starfish or a limb, it grows back a new limb, and then the other limb grows back another starfish. So it's like a lot of rapid regeneration and healing. I feel like you guys are going to be feeling 100%. So maybe you've been feeling like 80% consistently, or like 70, or like grogging through it, but something's coming in to help you be at 100% or 110%, which is really good. What else is coming through with this card? So there is this like little circle up here, and out of the corner of my eye, it looked like a UFO, and they would like me to talk about it as well. And they're giving me the word unorthodox with that UFO as I'm sitting with this card here. We kind of talked about this with the air signs as well, but it's about an unorthodox path. And some of you are already on an unorthodox path, but it's like being willing for it to become more unorthodox, or just being willing to be like out of this world, or for things to be totally different than you or anyone else would expect with like how your life looks and like what's showing up. Because I feel like that's where the best results are, is something I'm getting. So I would really detach from like conventional what here? Conventional means of success, maybe conventional ideas, conventional ways your life could look. And it might look conventional, but like be weird under the surface, which is probably a lot of you. That's a joke. That's not true for all of you, but I meant that in the best way possible, by the way. But beyond that here, there's just like so much different that's so much better than anything the world's ever seen, and you need to be open to that, is something, or it'd be really good to be open to that here. So this card is called the Our Lady of a Divine Direction. I want to see if that means anything here, because usually this card is about like being directed. I believe it's about being directed by the divine, and having a path directed by the divine for you. I feel like there is a lot being cut away that are like potential paths, so that you focus on what's really for you, or on like your divine guidance or divinely guided path. And sure, there's still like multiple options, but I feel like there are a lot of things that are not the right move that you're going to be brought away from. So you see clearly what is the right move is something I'm getting. And that's not a bad thing. I feel like it can be a relief when, even if the idea seems really good, because, we all have like different jobs here on earth, like different things we're supposed to do. And if you're brought away from something, maybe that's just someone else's job to bring that to the earth, and you'll just be doing and bringing through what you're designed to do and bring through instead, which will be way better for you. Instead of trying to cram yourself into a hole you don't fit in, even if it's a cool hole. And I don't mean that as no, I meant that in like a PG or G rated way. Like a star trying to put itself in a circle hole or something, or a circle in a square hole, a square in the circle hole, and things like that. Holes and shapes and things. So anything else for you before we wrap up this reading for the water signs here? I've been saying this a lot, but it's what I'm hearing. I just feel like there's a new direction for you. Maybe it just hasn't come in yet, and that's why it's coming through with multiples of these readings, or maybe new ones of you here and are here and need the reading and that message. But there's a new direction coming in for a lot of you that you don't see coming. That's also what the divine direction is talking about, is being directed on a new path or a higher path, or a newly guided way of doing things that you're already doing, or a better way of doing things that you're already doing. But I feel like it's a new path here as well. You're showing me like the Star card and the Chariot tarot card as well in my intuitive visuals, which Chariot's about kind of moving away from something, but it's also about victory. They're also showing this Chariot being like broken down, kind of like a wagon on the Oregon Trail, which they've been bringing up a lot in these weekly readings, it seems. Which it's not necessarily just for the week ahead. It's just kind of whatever time frame they give for each message, I guess. But sorry, I'm gonna rub my eye there. What's up with this broken down Chariot or wagon? If you break down, if there's a good reason for it, and I feel like there's a new direction coming in, and it's just like helping you avoid disaster. If your like quote unquote wagon breaks down, for others of you with this card, like it's like you're moving away from something that it's like it used to seem important, but it doesn't fit anymore. Excuse me, I just farted. You might not have heard that, but sorry. I have a story for you on that I might tell later, but sometimes that's like a sign that I'm releasing something, and but that's another story. Some of you are moving away from something that seemed important, but it doesn't fit anymore, and you're giving something more important is something I'm getting, like especially like a job. For others of you with the Star card, we talked about healing. Like, I don't want to beat that horse to death. We talked about healing like a bajillion times already today for you guys, but what's up with the horse here? Or sorry, the horse might be a sign for you as well, but what's up with the Star card here? I feel like things can move like much faster than you realize, but you have to let go of your old life, or maybe some of your current circumstances. For some of you, I don't feel like current circumstances are the right way to do it. Or you have to like let go of the way you think things are going to go, or maybe even some of the things you think you want. Like I would just like let go, honestly. And maybe it's like a let go and let the chips fall where they may kind of message, and like trust it's going to work out for the best, because I just feel like there's something totally unexpected or different that the universe wants to bring to you. And maybe it's like kind of expected. But if you're willing to like let go a little bit, it comes in, especially like of your old life. What does that even mean? For some of you, it's like an old relationship that you're like, maybe it's someone that's already like gone from your life that you hope is going to happen, or it's like things you kind of keep clinging on to that you know don't serve you, things like that. I'd let go of those things, as would typically be the advice, I suppose. But there are some out of this world things coming in that are totally unexpected if you're willing to go down a new route or a new journey. I feel like I am like not hitting that message right, but hopefully it's landing for you the way it's coming through. So I'm going to close this reading here. There might be a couple more messages, but no, I'm going to pull the sign down now. So I hope that was helpful and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do for you. I guess to like add in the message for you guys as well, kind of like came through for everybody else. I wouldn't beat up on yourself right now. I feel like a lot is shifting really rapidly, and you're going to enjoy where it leads, but sometimes you just have to be willing to go through the period of time where you're shifting and things are shifting to get there. I guess you could use the giving birth analogy. Like, it's not always fun to give birth, but then you have like a beautiful baby. But you know, it's things like that. Hopefully that made sense and resonated. Did whatever was for that's good for it to do for you. They're saying I need to do the full channel mode message like now. So I'm going to drink some water and we'll delve into that. And I am feeling like, I've been channeling for 2 hours, which I kind of have been. So, okay. So this water bottle has a straw, so it goes down, and it's, if you try to tilt it up, you can't get the water. And I almost gave you, it sounds like a dolphin if you don't do it right. So I almost gave you guys the dolphin ASMR. So one thing I'm hearing for the, okay. Thanks, other vibes. Okay. So I love it. Where did you get it? So it's not mine, actually. It's it belongs to the person I'm dating, and I'm not sure where they got it. I don't know if it was a gift from work but Bubba kegs, you could probably find a Bubba thing online for the Bubba water bottles. It might be at Target or something too, but it's just a water bottle. So I am going to give myself maybe 2 seconds, and we're going to jump right into the full channel mode message or the direct channeling message. I keep hearing it's about clearing, interestingly enough, whether it's clearing the way or just clearing in general. So maybe it'll just have that effect with the energetic transmission. But essentially, for anyone new, I'm just going to channel my spirit guides, the angels, and source. And there's a few things. There's the words that they bring through. Excuse me. There's also the energetic transmission. There's the frequency of it from true highest and limited source that does energy healing for the highest good, causes shifts for the highest good, just does whatever is for the highest good regarding the message. So we don't need to limit it, but it can also just help like wake up your own intuition and do that. So without too much further ado, I'm going to put the sign up here. So that's more for my timestamping the YouTube when I post it on YouTube. Friend, stay. Okay, so I'm going to give myself more water and then we'll jump in. I might like start coughing for a second and then they might usually laugh and then they start talking. And without further ado, let's see when they'd like to start it here. So I feel like I'm so sorry. Take like 2 more seconds before I jump right in. Just to collect myself. Okay, here we go. Welcome to this channeled message today. And we are joyous that you are here with us, so many magnificent beings today, and you are all stepping into your power more readily than ever before. And that is what the truth we speak of coming in is talking about as well. Truth leads to power. And we don't mean power over others, but your power. If you are willing to stand in truth, whether it is the truth of your intuition and channel messages you are receiving, if you do that work, or just the truth in general, what feels true to you energetically, if you are willing to get clear on that, you can live more in abundance and more in your power, because truth is one of those things that once it is discerned, once it is realized, it leads to you owning who you are, of course, what is true for you, and you would own what is true for you if you were owning the truth, what was felt true to you energetically, or what you were getting as a channeled message. It keeps you from being swayed by some of the powers that be, and by that we mean more of the, you could say, powers that be that have an agenda, such as the human powers that be. It keeps you from being swayed by friends that may have good intentions but do not know what they're talking about. It keeps you from being swayed by the conflicting information you might find on the internet about spiritual topics or about how you should live or what you should believe. And you truly do not need to believe anything. We would ask you to discern for yourself what is true, which is really part of what this message is about and why we're talking about truth and power so much. And those dynamics are playing out on the earth. Those two especially, truth and power, and abundance as well. So how can you step more into your truth? One, of course, you could meditate and get clear on your energies and about your energies, kind of release all the things that are not yours. You could clear your energies. You could sit with people and readers and channelers, all those different people that feel true to you and it resonates for you as true, what they speak and tend to speak. Furthermore, it's getting in touch with your intuition, your ability to feel energy, such as your clairsentience, your claircognizance, your knowing, whatever gifts you have, and really opening those up and really allowing that to guide you, allowing the universe to guide you, because that is the crux of where truth is found. And what's true for you is found, is through your intuition, your knowing, what you feel, what you hear. Another can speak truth to you and it will resonate for you. But your ability to tap into truth for yourself is powerful. And it's what leads you in the right direction for you at the right times. And yes, if you're not there yet, if you're newer to this way of being, this work, intuition, you might not be there yet. You might not be in your power with your intuition. And it might not be the right move to live by something you are not fully trusting yet, especially if you are still honing it in, you are still learning how it works, what's accurate for you when certain things show up. So we do not ask you to follow blindly something you are not willing to trust or are not ready to trust yet. But we are urging you to work on it and see it as a key to your power. Otherwise, you are flying blind. You are at the whim of the beliefs other people hand you, the things your parents said, the things other spiritual teachers say, the things your friends say, the things your bosses say. For if you could intuit the truth, you would see how magnificent you are. You would see how abundant you can be. You would see how abundant some of you already are, even if you do not think you are based on the cognitive levels you are trained to see abundance in. And by that we mean the stories of what abundance are that humans sold to you, such as a lot of money or a mansion in Beverly Hills or whatever. And those things can be abundant if that truly feels abundant to you. But getting in tune with the truth and your ability to feel energies is what would unveil that to you. And if that were the case, you could hear us going on and on about Beverly Hills and money and abundance and lack of abundance, and you wouldn't bat an eye because you would know that that was abundance for you and it wouldn't matter. You'd feel perfectly happy in your Beverly Hills mansion with a lot of money, not worrying about what we said or what anyone said. And that can be power. You not worrying what the other people are thinking because you know the truth, or at least the truth for you. So we advise you not to get swept away by the phrases of others, the sayings, the conventional wisdom. We would advise you to question everything, but with a twist. Question everything based on the premise of, is it true for you? Is it true in your reality? So much of what was sold and handed to you across time, across lifetimes, did not belong to you in the first place. And never did. A lot of the conventional wisdom that's thrown around isn't true, or isn't true for everyone. And it leads to a lot of suffering when people blindly follow the advice of others or the common phrases. It leads to a lot of suffering oftentimes when one is not willing to discern for themselves. And of course, there are those out there looking to spread truth. Intuitives who are operating from the right place. People who are coming from truth, who are grounded in truth. Of course, that is out there. But you have to be willing to discern who those people are that you will listen to. Otherwise, you are out of your power. You're pulled around by things that might not be true. And why are we going on and on and on about truth right now? It's a theme right now. It's something the collective is looking at. And it's something that needs to be brought to the surface. And a frequency that needs to prevail above most other frequencies you find on Earth right now. Not necessarily the high frequencies or higher frequencies. It needs to be up there with them, but it needs to be more prevalent. And this message, this channeled energetic transmission, is unearthing more truth in you. And at the right time, you will see it. But that is some of the work we are doing today. Removing the blockages to truth. Removing the blockages to you seeing truth. Whatever truth would be for the highest good for you to see. And let's move on to another topic. We've done our work on that one for now. Clearing. The energetic transmission with this message is meant to clear you. And clear your energies. And clear the way for truth and forward momentum. Perhaps some of you have not seen the forward momentum you were promised or felt you were promised, but it is coming. Especially if you have something you wish to move towards. Especially if you have something you wish to create. Right now you could see as the restructuring time, the reorganization, and you are being reorganized. Your life may be reorganized. So you can create what you came here to create. Whether it's big or small, anywhere in between. There are big things you are here to do. And you do not have to get caught up in your human judgments of what a big thing is. There are big things you're here to do. Even if it seems small to you or the human brain. Even those of you who know you are here to do a big thing even to human minds. Things may need to reorganize for you to get there. You are not there yet, for if you were, you would not be here listening to this message. But you are getting there. So what are you willing to let go of that's in the way of truth? That's in the way of you getting there? That's in the way of your power here on earth? It's in the way of your knowing. That if you let go of it would change everything. That is our question for you. You do not have to have a cognitive answer right now. You can let the energy shift as a result of that question. You can let the universe answer that question in the right time and the right ways for you, through what manifests or through what shows up. If you are willing to let go, you can have it all. If you are willing to let go, you can have it all. And that is the key with this whole reorganization thing. If you were to hold on to things, much would crumble. And that is why we are saying again and urging you to let go. Let go of your life. Let go of you. Let go of the constructs of what you think you are. What people told you you are. And allow the universe to show you the truth. And you can ask for that right now. It will manifest at the right time for you. Do you know how powerful you are? We are changing topics. Much more than you realize. One of you can shift the world. And the only thing that keeps you from doing that is thinking you can't do it. One of you can shift the world. And you need to hear that. You need to own that. We say need, of course. There's no wrong choice. But it is strongly suggested. The more you hone in your connection, your knowing, your truth, your ability to perceive truth, the more you let go as things reorganize, as you heal, the more you are willing to allow Source to show you the way, the faster things will move. That is our message for you. Things are going to be moving more quickly for you on Earth, especially if you've been feeling lack of movement or momentum, as we talked about. Things are going to be speeding up. You're not done. Manifestation will be speeding up. Creation will be speeding up. Reorganization will be speeding up. And your knowing will help you to move fast. Whereas before, maybe it took you 10 days to figure something out. Honing in your intuition will allow you to move fast and keep up, which is why it's such an important message at this time. And right now, your life is being shaped. Perhaps it feels like you are being pressed against the anvil at times. But if you allow it to happen, something beautiful can come about from it. And it will. And that is what's happening. The reorganization, the reshaping, the truth. The anvil is there temporarily. And the anvil serves a purpose. And none of you are meant to be up against the anvil your whole lives. We leave you with that. We realize this transmission has been more energetic. The words may or may not have made sense to you, though they should have. Or they will. We are wishing you all the ease in this transition that would be for your highest good. All the ease with the anvil that would help you reshape in the highest and best ways possible. And we are wishing you well. We are signing out for now. You're welcome. Powerful. Very powerful. Thank you, Christina Connolly. I appreciate it. I feel like there's more I didn't get to. Was there more? Should we do another channel? No. Oh, they might give me more information as we're wrapping this up here. You're welcome, guys. I hope that was good. I hope that was helpful, of course. Thank you, Rome Wild. Yes, water. Yes, and yes to that message. Awesome. Thank you. Yesterday I had a whole understanding reorganization, but not in those words. So thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Brandon. Haruda's asking if my guides have a name. So the name they go by is when I first was channeling messages from them, I believe I was hearing from them and channeling messages for them for a while. And eventually I was like, oh, I wonder if I have a name for my spirit guides, because there's like other channelers out there who have like a name for their guides, like, things like that. And they're like, not really. We don't, like, they're like, we don't have names up here. I'm like, yeah, all I knew was like, it was good. It was accurate. It was helping people. And they gave me the name, the Angelic Collective of Zorbital, which is, I don't know if they were just being cheeky with that a little bit, they're saying, but so that's the name they gave me for them. And I just kind of simplify it and say I channel my spirit guides, angels, and source, it is what it is. Thank you. Felt the energy resonate from that loud and clear. Perfect. That was very powerful and needed. Thank you, B. You're welcome. And may the highest and best come about from all of that for the highest good, of course. For sure. I always see like councils around you when you channel. Oh, I love that, Ruda. That's awesome. I love your guys. They are very funny. They are hilarious. Little snap crackle. I agree. The words they're giving me are like, try living with them. I'm like, but honestly, they crack me up a lot, just like in everyday living. So it's in a good way. You're welcome, guys. I'm glad they're funny for you guys too. Makes it more fun. Okay. So what next here? They're telling me to promote a little bit. So, I'm just going to promote and then maybe we'll hang out for a bit. I'm actually feeling pretty good right now. I wasn't expecting to. I was expecting to feel pretty beat up after this live, but I feel good, which is good. So what should I promote here? If you're curious, I do have a channeled book and it's called Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. And it's about learning to channel your guides and connect with them. And I want to expand it or like put out a volume 2 with some more information too now. But I don't have that right now. So that's available. I have a membership if you like what goes on with just my social media posts. If you perhaps want to go deeper, so there's longer full channel mode messages like that are longer than that. They're usually like, the shortest one I've done for that was 30 minutes, but I say 30 minutes minimum is what I was getting, but it's getting closer to like an hour plus now with the channel messages. And we do one of those monthly. And then we have weekly channeled readings and things like that, and channel guided meditations, depending on the tier. And that's what's going on with that right now. So if you feel called to it, awesome. If not, no worries. I'll still be here putting out all the free content. So, great book, highly recommended. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. The book is so good. Thank you guys. It means a lot. Thanks for hyping me up. And I know you wouldn't do it if you didn't get something good from it. So thank you. Thanks, Amy Cutler. Guided meditations on the membership are amazing. And I should have, and those come out every 15th. So I should have some drop-in on that day coming up here too. And besides that, I think I do have some slots open for one-on-one readings right now this week. We'll see how that's going. And then I have Reiki classes, one on the 25th this Saturday, the 25th this month, and one on the 25th on March. And that's it, I think, for self-promotion. Amazing book, was definitely helpful. Perfect. Thanks, Healing with Angels. Thanks, Andy Pandy Pie. That is very validating. It means a lot. Thank you. And I'm glad to hear it. That is the feedback I would in some ways want to hear, for sure. Cool. Anything else that I need to talk about? No. That's kind of what I've got going on right now that I'm being guided to talk about. So when anything else is happening, I'll let you know. And we can tip you if we feel called. Yes, if you do feel, thank you, Crystal. And by the way, I think you tipped me the other week, and I wanted to say thank you so much for that, Crystal. I really appreciate it. And for the kind message as well when you tips me. Reiki Masterclass. Oh, hey, Alyssa. Yeah, I should probably do that I'm probably going to set one up for April, maybe March, but I feel like a month out is pretty short notice, but I'm hearing March. I heard March, but I'm also sitting with April. So I'll probably set that up soon too, because I realize I have a lot of people who got to Reiki too, and I never did a masterclass, which I apologize for. We'll get that going for anyone who feels called to do that with me. But yeah, and you can tip on the Linktree in my bio if you feel called to, by the way. If it's the last link at the bottom, you have to scroll a little bit, but it's there. No obligation, the word I'm looking for. Should I pull a card for everyone here? I wanted to pull a card for everyone here because they were just telling me to. And this is the card that came out, Our Lady of the Whispering Hearts. I know I've been getting this message a lot, but I am hearing again, like, new directions for all of you, but it's like really good. And it could just be like a bettering of like what you're already doing or like what you're already doing. But I feel like there are a lot of new beginnings in just the time frame we're in. And I feel like there's a lot blossoming as well, or that's going to be blossoming over the summer is something I'm getting. So I just, somehow, some way, new directions coming in for everyone. It was Our Lady of the Whispering Hearts. As far as like what else there is for you guys on that one, I feel like that was the crux of the message. I don't know why I wanted to do that. I feel like I said that in the readings already, but we're good here. I'm probably going to close the live soon. I might hang out for like 2 seconds. Beautiful soul. Brandon, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to maybe hang out. I'm sorry. I'm just saying words now. I think I'll hang out for a second, but they're telling me to close the live soon. So I wanted to say thank you guys. I've done Reiki classes before. If I wanted to get in your classes, should I start the classes over? No, I'm getting no. I would, if there's any you want to revisit or feel like intuitively would be good for you to revisit, you're more than welcome to join like one of those classes, but I don't think you need to start over at all. I would do like Reiki 2 at the earliest if you want to take classes with me on top of the other classes, is what I'm getting. And I just don't want you to, I don't think it'd be a waste of time per se, but I don't know if you'd get, that's just what I'm getting. Misty says, using tarot cards is not channeling. That's not true, because I can pull cards and then channel messages. It's using tarot cards and channeling, is what I'd say. But yeah, I pulled the card and that's what I was hearing. So that's what I get, at least. That's been my experience. And you're more than welcome to believe otherwise, but that's not true for me. So where can I buy the book? It's on Amazon or in the Linktree in my bio is something I'm getting. So that's one way you could, that's the only way I can get it. I should probably get an electronic version going, but cool. Okay, I'm going to close the live. So one, I want to say thank you guys so much. I am sending love. I appreciate you. You guys rock. It's a blessing to be able to do this for you guys and to get to show up and channel for you guys. And you guys make this worth doing and worthwhile for me. So, I mean, otherwise I'd just be channeling to a wall. So, so I'm absolutely wishing you all well, every single one of you, and whatever would be for your highest good. And I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. And thank you so much. You guys are amazing. And I will see you later. Okay.